got back today. Them wild-eyed boys that had been away haven't changed, hadn't much to say. But man, I still think them cats are crazy. They were asking if you were around, how you was, where you could be found. I told them you were living downtown, driving all the old men crazy. The boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. I said, the boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town, the boys are back in town, the boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. You know that chick that used to dance a lot? Every night she'd be on the floor shaking what she'd got. Man, when I tell you she was cool, she was red hot. I mean, she was steaming. And that time over at Johnny's place, well, this chick got up and she slapped Johnny's face. Man, we just fell about the place. If that chick don't wanna know, forget her. The boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. I said, the boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town.
Yes, we are. Whoa. Happy New Year. Bob Lockamy, Ash Quakenbush, Will Kaufman, fresh back from the Big Easy, and he looks it too. I think our recent college graduate enjoyed his trip to New Orleans despite his football team.
Well, he made it back. He didn't get arrested or sleep in the gutter, it looks like. So.
Did you ask him if he got arrested?
I didn't, but I'm assuming he's here. So.
Yeah, Will, good afternoon, Will.
How are you?
Well, Will, we're good. We're just...
Quite a few people got arrested the last time Alabama went to New Orleans, so it was probably...
You know, Alabama's not done well. 3 straight losses in New Orleans. You know.
Did you stay out of a Crystals, Will?
I did.
Yeah.
I had no trips to the jail or Crystals. So.
None of your buddies got thrown in?
No, nobody. I saw a few.
It's hard to get arrested in New Orleans.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. You get arrested.
You have gone too far down the rabbit hole if you're getting...
Hey, Will, hold. Just, I want to get real formal. Okay, I got us going too quick. Okay, we are sports and stuff. I did say I'm Bob Lockamy.
You did.
And I did say you're Ash Quakenbush.
You did.
I did say he's Will Kaufman.
You did.
We're it.
We're the three.
To kick it off, we're the 3 Musketeers. Boy, what a show. Whoa, JP's coming in any moment. JP predicts the whole. Now, if you guys want to call Nate, we'll get Nate on the line.
Okay.
Get him, you know, does Honest Abe speak?
Not really.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, we're here each Sunday afternoon. This doesn't disrupt either one of you like a Sunday afternoon nap, does it?
No. It did interrupt me watching the fourth quarter of my football game. So
there's a game today.
Yeah, the Colts are playing. They were beating the Bengals last I checked.
Ash, there's only one NFL team we're going to follow.
And it's the Indianapolis Colts.
It is the Carolina Cats.
Before it was the Browns in August.
Well,
what happened to the Browns?
Well, you know, they're out of it. You know, we're going to reconsider. We're going to adopt a quarterback, and we're going to adopt a team. I know who it's going to be. All right, now, but we're going to follow that team next year, and that's going to be our NFL focus. Okay. Now, if Ash wants us to talk about the Colts, we will.
That's my team.
All right, let me get us really officially here now. Okay. You can listen live to us. My buddy in Toronto, Pete, he's tuned in right now. Yep. Larry in Knoxville, he's tuned in right now.
Are they listening via 977thepeach.com?
Yes, www.
If you want.
977thepeach.com. Yeah. Pam's listening down in Montgomery. Jamie's listening down in Gulf Shores.
Chris is listening in the Far East.
Oh, yeah. Chris is in the Far East. Now, that's a phone call we would take. If our buddy Chris, and Will, you weren't in on this, but Ash and I have been, at home we say it's a domestic discussion. Okay. We've been having a dialogue about whether to take calls or not take calls. Okay. And it's early in the year. And before the year is over, the new year, we will probably, somewhere along the way, take calls. You know, Phyllis from Mulga calls right now. She's in. Tammy, she's in. This nutcase in Tuscaloosa, Jim from Tuscaloosa, he wants to call. He's in. So I guess I should give the number.
If you want.
Well, do you know it?
605-0733.
605. I think you were saying area code.
205-605-0733.
Okay, so folks, look, it's the new year. If you want to call, and we're oh, look who just walked in.
I know, but they can also engage us on social media.
Oh yeah,
Sports and Stuff FM, Facebook.com/Sports and Stuff FM, Sports and Stuff FM, at Sports and Stuff FM on Twitter. Sports and Stuff FM at gmail.com.
We're going to have
an email address.
And you know, we're going to have a blog. By this time next week, we're going to have a website and a blog.
It's coming along.
Oh, yeah. Our man Pelham, he's in the trenches. I mean, not with Roger Schultz, but I mean, hey, I hear Schultz is, I heard him on the radio yesterday morning with Keith Norton, right here on the Breakfast of Champions. And Schultz got to it pretty quick. He was on Lane Kiffin's butt, I'm telling you. He said the first play of the game dictated how the rest of the game should have gone. Now, let's do this. Okay. Do you want to welcome JP?
Welcome, JP.
Thank you, Ash.
You know the show starts at 3, right?
Yes. I couldn't get off the phone on the other one I was on.
Well.
Oh, you're on another show?
Yes. I moonlight down in Alex City.
Let me ask you a question.
It's in a different...
JP, we've known each other a long time. Do you have an agent?
Yes.
You do? You?
Yes, he's listening right now.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
I call him Boss Man.
The boss, big boss man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready to, in this hour, let me set the stage for the day. This is going to be fun. In the studio, our first hour, to analyze what the heck happened or didn't happen, is Will Kaufman, okay? And JP Predicts. We're our special guest for, that's a little odd, though. I mean, Ash is here. I mean, but JP, we're going to focus. Nobody else. No Tuffy Crow, no Lynn Scarborough, no Taylor Sweeney. I mean, you guys and Will. We're going to discuss. And look, the Auburn game, Auburn lost. Big deal. Alabama lost.
But there's a lot of similarities in both games, Bob.
All right, well, let's do this. There's Ash, you've got, and I'm with you, JP. We're coming back to you in a minute, Will, about Tuscaloosa. I mean, about New Orleans. But this is a sad weekend in regards to ESPN Sports Center.
Well, yeah, this morning, for all of us sports fans, especially JP and I's age range, who grew up with Stuart Scott as a staple of their ESPN viewing. He passed away this morning, and along multiple battles with cancer since early 2000s. He's had several bouts with it, and he got named the Jimmy V Perspiration Award in July, which was a really touching speech. If you haven't heard that, I encourage you to go listen to it. SportsCenter had a remembrance piece on him today that was fantastic as well. A little long to listen to, but we've got a segment here which is Rich Eisen, his longtime partner, basically found out on the air this morning for NFL Network that Stuart Scott had passed away, and sort of summarized it as well as he could on the air. So we'll play that real quick, and then we'll kind of dive back into it.
If I may, on this moment on the show, and turn the clock back to 1996, when I was a 26-year-old SportsCenter anchor from New York City, a Jewish kid from New York City walking onto the set and being teamed up with a guy who I'd seen on television but had never met before. A proud African-American Chicagoan by way of North Carolina due to his school, Bleeding Carolina Blue. And the two of us became married on television, essentially referred to himself as my TV wife. And I cannot believe that I'm now sitting here on television reporting to you the news that I heard about 10 minutes ago. And that Stuart Scott has died. One of the most joyful, full of life individuals I have ever come across. Lived his life the way his parents wanted him to live it, the way he felt he should live it. He broadcast the same way, a groundbreaking broadcaster in the world of sports television. I love this man. I still love this man. And the fact that he has passed away is absolutely mind-boggling and a travesty. He battled cancer as bravely as anybody else. And I know there are many people out there who are battling cancer right now and Stuart would want you to know to keep fighting. Keep fighting, and that he didn't lose this battle of cancer. He fought it as bravely as he possibly could. And as you go to bed tonight, flip your pillow over to the cool side. And before you go to sleep, as Stuart would say, you hit your knees tonight and pray to the big man for his beautiful daughters who he loved, Taylor and Sydney. Pray for Stuart and his family, his parents, his siblings, his girlfriend, his ex-wife, everybody who he loved. And that includes you, the sports fans, even those who hated on him. He thrived on it. That's because he is who he is and was, I can't believe it's the past tense, who he was. Stuart Scott is dead at the age of 49. I love you, Stuart. Wherever you are, Godspeed. Rest in peace.
At the end of his speech in July during the ESPYs, he said, when you die, it doesn't mean that you lose to cancer. You beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and in the manner of which you live. A lot of people go through this. I mean, cancer touches just about every family. My wife's grandmother, the last of the great-grandmothers, passed away Saturday after a 6-month bout with cancer that, for somebody that was as vibrant as she was and, in the end was really just, it was sad to kind of go through that, and just see a lot of the energy and a lot of the, personality and snark that kind of went out of it. So it hits everybody. And so, the world will miss Stuart Scott, but he's not the only one. So he was a groundbreaking, he brought a little bit of hip hop and a little bit of soul to ESPN in a time when it was pretty much button collar 30-year-old white guys that didn't have a lot of soul, a lot of heart. He was bringing a lot of off the cuff elements to his job that changed the entire dynamic of that network. I don't know. It's hard to transition in and out of that, but it needed to be kind of said. So
yeah, I'm still processing it, and I found out the news this morning when I got out of church. Was in a good mood and read that, and it made me sad because he's been a fixture. It's going to be strange not seeing his face.
I'm watching the two of you. Stuart Scott was 49 years old. Okay, but I'm sensing how much he meant to the two of you as young viewers. Well, he was diagnosed 7 years ago.
Yeah, it was. Again, we grew up. JP and I are about that thing. We grew up, and he was one of the anchors. Him, Rich Eisen, Stuart, Scott Van Pelt. A lot of those guys just. Where you're every Saturday, every night, you watch SportsCenter every night, and it was, you see the same people all the time. And he lost an eye, didn't lose an eye. I guess he lost the part of it, catching a football a couple years back in a NFL training camp. He was going out to basically show that he could do it. He didn't catch the ball well and it hit him in the eye, and he actually ended up losing the vision in his eye, which was sort of a weird situation, but He's a funny guy. I mean, it was
Well, his legacy. That's his legacy.
Yeah.
That his humor. But as Eisenberger said, I mean, there are a lot of people hating on him too.
Yeah,
And like my friend Paul, our friend Paul Feinbaum, you love him, you hate him. What you love about him is he makes you think.
Yeah, he
Makes
was
you
definitely.
respond.
I mean, again, he was very against the grain for what ESPN and what a lot of the other ESPN announcers were doing. When he came in as off the cuff and really, homespun analogies and hip hop references that people didn't necessarily get, and just didn't take it like the, local news guys. So and so won. The score was this. And he put a lot of heart into it that you see today, and almost every announcer on there emulates to some degree the style that was groundbreaking when he was in there. But it's it's part of the game, I guess. It happens to everybody. So,
JP,
just going back and looking at it, because how much ESPN did affect people like me and Ash, who are sitting here watching sports, and you were making the joke about having an agent earlier, but some people actually regard me as an expert for some reason in watching this stuff now, and the way that he looked at it differently than everyone else. I mean, I was a huge Craig Kilborn and Keith Oberman fan when they both had that desk, and it was just a different style, and his was a move in another direction. You're right. You see, and when you watch it now, it's hard not to watch it and watch SportsCenter and not think of Scott Stewart and some of the influence that he's left, and how, as Ash said, people are emulating him.
Well, locally, Paul Feinbaum has been an individual that separated this market from the basic male blue-collar sports talk listener and brought in women, brought in young folks, old folks. People ask me sometimes, how's Paul so successful? I said, well, just think about it. Here's who listens. Men listen, women listen, young folks listen, old folks listen, black folks listen, and all in between. And that's what a guy like this did. We're going to play this at the end today. We're going to play this wrapping up the show today. And let's do this. We're going to take a break. We're going to take a break for a moment. We're going to talk about Stead and Fuller. Before we do, let me tell you the rest of the day. JP predicts. You are our football analyst, and we're going to come at you.
All right.
We're going to talk about what happened. A lot of things happened. Now, in our second hour, Bob Carlton wrote an award-winning piece. If this piece that he wrote on Legion Field does not get him whatever the Writer is of the Year awards that they give now, I'd like to see who gets it. Okay, Bob will be with us from 4 to 4:30. And then coming out of 4:30, we will have Mark Everett, three-time Olympian, Dr. Sloan Burdick, with the Farm, chiropractic, sports medicine. We're going to have Danny Haralson on for a few minutes after the top of the hour, the founder of Run University. And in our studio for the remainder of the show this afternoon will be Jason Cerniglia and Jeremy Hunter. They are Jason is Hoover Fitness, and he and Jeremy are Strength Through Faith, which is sponsored by Hoover Fitness. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have a good day. Kick off this new year in a new way.
Well, it's beautiful outside.
About time.
I thought I was going to have to build an ark.
Oh, I'm telling you. And I get, it's Wednesday morning. It's supposed to be 12 degrees.
Yeah.
We better hope some of this water gets gone, All right, now, Will, you ready for Stead and Fuller? Joe Fuller. Joe called me yesterday. And I thought he's wanting a head count at the bowl game. He was out of town driving. But Joe just wanted to talk about a couple of things. Okay? But, yesterday we were getting some things done at our home that will help on our homeowner's insurance. So 3:15 in the afternoon, guys, I didn't hesitate to call my agent, Joe Fuller. Call his home number, call his cell number, whatever. Because he takes care of us. He takes care of my family. He'll take care of your family, take care of your business. Let's listen to Charlie Davis tell you more specifically about Joe Fuller and Stead and Fuller Insurance.
Hello, this is Charlie Davis. Many of you may remember when I was affiliated with Auburn football radio broadcast. I had the pleasure of being associated with the very best: Shug Jordan, Joel Eves, Buddy Rutledge, and Gary Sanders, to name a few. Likewise, in insurance, my family's property and casualty needs are protected by the very best: Joe Fuller and C.D. Denson with Stead and Fuller Insurance. They are local, independent, trusted choice agents who work for you. They do not work for any one insurance company, so they're free to choose the best products and insurance company or companies for you. Stead and Fuller Insurance was founded in 1952 by Mr. Walter D. Stead, Jr., who felt service and savings to clients was most important. Likewise, today, Joe Fuller and C.D. Denson at Stead and Fuller Insurance continue that same attitude. Call Joe or C.D. today at 414-1476 or check them on the web at www.steadandfuller.com. That is Stead and Fuller Insurance, located in downtown Homewood. Put C.D. or Joe to work for you today.
I always want to come in after he says steadandfuller.com, because Charlie Davis is such a pro. He's got you listening just a moment more. That's what it is. And there's no one better to talk about Stead and Fuller. Joe was our first advertiser. I've talked about that many times. 61 shows. And then we got Red Wing and a few other folks who've been with us the whole run. Now, we appreciate Joe. All right, guys. Anybody go to the game yesterday, the bowl game?
I did not.
I had an open invitation, but I was a little exhausted Saturday, and with the rain, and I found too many excuses not to
go. I went. Will, you didn't go. You were in New Orleans.
I did not, but I watched the game on television.
Yeah,
it was a good game.
Yeah, well, I thought it was a good football game. I went. Didn't go in, but seriously, I went out to the stadium. What happened was we had someone come to the house, work on the house, on some stuff, and they were supposed to come Wednesday. Then they called and said they were coming late Saturday afternoon, so I could go to the game, come back, because my wife was running around shopping, doing some things. But then the guy had to come at noon, so I got out to the stadium, and by the time I got there, it was time to come back. But a lot of crowd. I thought the crowd was pretty good. A lot of folks. I saw a lot of Florida people. Saw a lot of East Carolina folks.
It was a little sparse.
Well, they had about 30-something thousand, didn't it?
Right about 30,000, but short of 2012, which is really it's within a 1,000 of 2012's attendance. It's pretty much the lowest they've had since 2006. So.
But let me ask you this, Ash. The weather. I'm gonna tell you, when I got it, I did not expect there to be massive parking around the stadium. Okay, so when I went out, it was about 10:15. I thought, well, I'm going to park in the parking lot right there by the stadium. I mean, even the Tide and Tiger parking was gone. I mean, there were a lot. I was pleasantly shocked when I saw on television, though. I mean, I really, to be honest with you, Ash, I thought they could have 12,000, 15,000 people.
Well, I went there a couple of years ago when Ole Miss had risen from the dead and was back at their first bowl game in umpteen years.
That's Johnny Vaught.
And they had that place packed out, and then there was about 500 Pitt fans because it was their third or fourth straight year being here in Birmingham. And, I think the rain probably played into it a little bit yesterday. But I think 30,000, what did you say, 30?
31, 30, something like that.
I mean, it did not look bad on TV, and especially with the weather. So I'll give it a pass.
Yeah, I thought it dressed out pretty well on TV. But Ash, you're saying it was barely above 212.
Well, yeah, just barely above 212, which, I mean...
2 years ago,
they'd been pretty much over that since, so it's been the lowest in about a decade.
I saw something today where the Florida folks were not excited about being here.
No, that's what players basically came out and said it was not their ideal bowl game.
Well, I thought Mark Edwards, the Meadows. Edwards?
Meadows,
yeah. Mark Meadows, the executive director. I thought he said quite well what I saw. I understand. Sure, they didn't. They wanted to be in the Sugar Bowl. They wanted to be elsewhere. I mean, but we had Missouri play. I'm trying to think who they played. South Carolina, maybe. Yeah. And Mark Bradley was quarterback for Missouri. He got off the airplane, and some young Cub female reporter for NBC 13. She wasn't even in the sports department. Sticks a microphone in his face right as he takes the last step off the thing coming off the plane. She says, Mr. Bradley, how do you feel about being in Birmingham for the Hall of Fame Bowl? And he said, I'd rather be home practicing baseball. This was in December. So I think that's understood. But, I mean, hey, they finished in the bottom half of their division. That's what they got.
You want to be in a better bowl, have a better team.
All right, that's it.
Kind of hard to say, but
we talked about the Birmingham Bowl.
We did.
Okay. Auburn lost.
All I'm going to say is thank God for the SEC East. 5-0, baby. 5-0.
Right. How did JP do on this? How did you guys do on the bowl games?
I didn't miss a game in the East. In the West, when West Virginia announced the day before that Clint Trickett was not going to be quarterback, I will have changed my prediction. I had West Virginia, but I did not. How
did Ash do? Is this Ash? You got some hay fever? You feel a little?
Oh, I got a little bit of everything right now.
Kind of looks peaked, doesn't it?
I actually have no idea how I've done. I have not checked my. JP keeps telling me how he's done, but I couldn't tell you what I picked for the life of me this year.
Look, I called both the Mississippi schools losing, and when Ole Miss. That was not a favorable matchup for Ole Miss, especially with some of the stuff. But Mississippi State, I think a lot of people were surprised that Georgia Tech took them to task.
I'm going to say something. We don't gamble. I really appreciate you guys and respect. You don't you don't do the line. JP predicts who's going to win.
We don't gamble on the website.
Well, you can gamble all you want to. I mean, you don't play the spread and all that
okay,
on this show and in your website,
I get what
right?
You're saying. Yes.
Right. Okay.
That is true.
I mean, no filthy lucre involved in your website, right?
We are not out to make a buck. Yes.
Okay.
No, we're just having fun.
But here's the deal. If you're going to get into not just predicting, but playing, is that what they call it? Playing the games, okay? Mm-hmm. Go with the underdog. And especially in the games outside of the college football playoff semifinals, okay? But even there, in one of them, okay? But go with the underdog who cares and who's excited about being there. That's the deal. And Mississippi State, their season ended.
Yeah, but they were very
weeks ago.
Yeah, but you got to realize the last time they went to a major bowl, it was right after the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor.
Oh, no, they came here and played in Doug Layton. I feel like I'm dating and aging myself because of you guys earlier talking about Stuart Scott and you young guys and all. I've mentioned someone a while ago, I've even forgotten, but Doug Layton, former broadcaster here in town, former color analyst with the University of Alabama with John Forney. Okay, Doug Layton said that the Hall of Fame Bowl between Kansas and Mississippi State, of which I think Mississippi State won, maybe Kansas won, 10-3. John Bond was the quarterback for Mississippi State. Doug Layton said it was the worst football game he'd ever seen in his life. And I saw Doug a few weeks ago, and I said, Doug, you've seen a lot of football games since then. Have you changed your mind? Nope. He said, that's the worst ball game I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they didn't. I mean, Mississippi State got beat to Ole Miss before they came here.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't.
Well, I mean, that was
the luster of the Mississippi teams kind of got knocked off.
Gone.
But Mississippi State was going for the first 11-win season ever.
They didn't get it.
Did not get it, and that was the first time they had been back to the Orange Bowl since January 1st,
okay,
1942.
All right, Auburn lost in the West. Mississippi State lost in the West.
Everybody except the bottom
Ole
two.
Miss lost in the West.
LSU and Alabama.
LSU. We're saving Alabama here now.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to get Will back on the mic here in a few minutes after the next
Everybody
break.
except
Thank God
A&M
for Arkansas.
and Arkansas.
Can you believe this? Arkansas and Texas A&M?
You got to bring it up.
Well, I think if West Virginia had Clint Trickett, if you were watching the secondary for Texas A&M, you would have understood that would have been a very different game.
Different game, yeah.
So Arkansas was the only one that really looked just dominant from the West, and they just took it to Texas.
I think Auburn and Alabama have similar complaints in terms of sporadically ineffective play calling.
Let me take a moment to talk about why we don't have the Fellowship of Christian Athletes feature today. Not someone here, Big Jack Baker or Chet Williams or Gary Kramer from Alabama, whatever. And our FCA features are brought to us each week by Campus Spirit. Okay, 2 great locations here in Birmingham, locations in Huntsville and Auburn, and different areas, and New Life Art. Boy, Daniel Moore is working on something, and I'm going to pull this up in a second. He's working on something now that you guys need to get in touch with New Life Art and see about this. It's really something special. It goes back to the Iron Ball, and it is, let's see what that is. It is the Game Changer print. Just contact New Life Art, newlifeart.com, okay? And ask the folks, check in about the Game Changers. But I kind of thought we would just pass on the FCA today. And I'll tell you why. You guys go to church today?
I did.
Yeah, I went. You going tonight? You going back to church somewhere tonight? Are you?
Yes.
Yeah. It was amazing to me. I mean, come on, folks. I mean, these were just 2 football games. I mean, we should have done a whole 3-hour Fellowship of Christian Athletes show today. But I'm not fed up with, the FCA, that's not their fault. But, there were people looked like they had lost their closest friend at church today.
Some people take it harder than others.
Well,
it's just a game, and when I went to Puerto Rico with those guys and being embedded with a team for a week where things did not go right and there were high expectations, remembering these are 18 to 22-year-old kids, they're babies like Will,
He's a college graduate, though.
He's a college graduate, but it looks like he had a good time in New Orleans.
He's a youngster.
And so when it's all said and done, sometimes we take it a lot more seriously than they do. I can tell you that from personal experience, and you probably can tell me this too from some of your experience. When you meet some of these guys, and they're still college age, they take they care about the game. They love the game. They're extremely competitive, but they're not near as competitive as some of these fans that come on these shows or go on a fine bomb and scream and yell.
Go crazy.
Yeah, because in the end of the day, they have, it's kind of, I guess they have perspective. They can walk away.
Our pastor brought a great message today. I'm not sure half the people there heard it. I'm serious, really. So our FCA feature today is, folks, get a grip. And the FCA has to make that point clear often. But I like what you just said, JP. The players and the coaches have a grip. It's the rest of us that don't. We appreciate Campus Spirit and New Life Art for helping us each week present today the FCA moment. Okay? So I'm speaking on behalf of the FCA. Get a grip, folks. Come on.
And I think stuff like with Stuart Scott today puts it in perspective.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a game, and, it's something fun to look at, and that's one thing I always – I have to take a step back sometimes after football season because you get so involved in it, and you can get so tied up in these games that you're living and dying.
Well, that's and I got to tell you, I think sports talk, and I think sports is entertainment, but I think sports is very therapeutic. But come on, folks, you can't win every game.
Well, some people have the expectation that they should.
Well, like somebody who picked Kentucky to win 8 games this year.
Hey, I was all right for a bit.
For a moment. Yeah.
6 games in, I was all right.
You were looking good.
It's all right. I mean, I've watched less football this year than I think I have in the last decade, at least at a college level.
And I've probably watched more.
Me too. Me too.
Which is odd. I mean, I watched...
Are you serious?
I watched the Auburn game in completion.
The Wisconsin.
The Wisconsin Wisconsin game. And I watched the last 5 minutes or so of the fourth quarter of the Georgia Tech game, and then I turned it, or the Florida State game. I turned it on, went, they're getting blown out, turned it back off. About the same with the Alabama game. Flipped it on, saw the score, flipped it off.
See,
and that is the entirety of what I've watched from bowls this year. Not a single.
JP, this is your partner. Do you believe this?
I couldn't have cared less about bowl games this year if I tried.
It's the Kentucky thing.
No, it has nothing to do with that. There were almost no appealing matchups. I mean, some of the games were really.
Ash, you went way out on a limb predicting a basketball school to win 8 football games. So I don't blame you for bailing out.
On the flip,
it's just not many. There weren't very many appealing matches. I mean, we were talking about it when we were doing our picks. I mean, some of the games turned out to be very entertaining games, but like on paper, they were just atrocious. I mean, trying to find things to say about some of these teams was just agonizing.
Why don't we just watch the games though? I mean, there were some games where some teams came back and see. And I know it's going to get Ash good. Watch this, Will. We need more bowl games. Okay.
Well, if you do a true playoff system, let's say 16 or 32,
just play them all.
Yeah, but at that point, I'm a firm proponent of at least an 8-team playoff, and the first round being at
and that's not going to hurt the bowl games.
I think you could have had a 6-round playoff, and there still would have only been 2 games worth watching, probably. I mean,
come on, Ash.
The Florida State game was embarrassing.
Or something?
The Florida State game was one of the least entertaining things I've ever seen. And the only reason people were excited to watch it was because of how much they hate Florida State.
Ash, I know you don't drink coffee, but I made some good.
You watched Florida State and were entertained by that game.
You better believe it. That was a huge ball game, a historic inaugural college football playoff semifinal game.
It was barely watchable from 5 minutes in.
15.8, I think, on the
Richter scale.
Yeah, on the Richter. I wanted to use Richter scale as well, but I watched on the opposite side. I've watched some of every bowl game.
Oh, me too.
I've watched. There's some of them I've watched entirely.
Our remote's not working at home. I'm not kidding. And I've changed the batteries 3 times.
Worst part is I've been off work the whole time too, and haven't even bothered to turn it on.
See,
but it just hasn't been entertaining.
Ash, you corporate guys who get all this extra time off.
I know, right?
It's not good for you.
The one thing I will bring up that I think hasn't quite been touched on is how left out and mistaken people were with the TCU pick. TCU, I think, proved that they deserved to be in that game.
But whose place do they take? Because now Ohio State is quote unquote legitimized their place.
Right, I know.
If you looked at it, was it Alabama that didn't deserve to belong? But I think the reality is most people look at Florida State and said they truly didn't belong, but they never lost a game.
All right, hold on right there. We have a couple of sponsors to talk about.
All right.
Okay. That's a good point right there. TCU. We're going to hold on this TCU thing. Okay. Because I have a thought on this. But I think you guys, I'm just going to sit back and watch you two. I'm going to watch JP predicts. Okay. Now, first off, though, I'm going to talk about, and I got to tell you something. Sharper Image Landscaping, LLC. I told my wife the other day, take a look at this, guys. That's the new yard sign.
It's much better.
Yeah, that says it all. This is not some yard sign stuck up on a wire hanger. This is Sharper Image Landscaping LLC yard sign, which, folks, you can have one in your yard. You just call 410-6783. Now, you just don't call to ask to get a yard sign put in your yard. JP, that's not why you call. You call because you want your yard, your lawn, your shrubbery, your roof. You want all this stuff you don't want leaves all bundled up everywhere. And Ash, I thought you nailed it really well 2 weeks ago. Oh, by the way, Justin Majudi is going to be here next week to tell us more about what's happening in January with the landscaping company. Just like you said, Ash, why worry? Why are we talking about a landscaping company in January? Well, businesses need their landscaping taken care of, folks. And Sharper Image Landscaping, your home. If you want your home and your lawn and your shrubbery and everything to look like dynamite come spring and summer.
It's a very poor Jimmy Walker impression.
I am impressed that he knew who that was.
We all know who Jimmy Walker is.
Okay, but let me
Thanks to Adam Sandler, but that's a whole nother.
That's right. Yeah, I tell you what now, Sharper Image Landscaping, they cut grass, of course. They weed eat, they edge, they blow the stuff away. They weed control, pine straw, mulch, leaf removal. I'm not even halfway through the list. Sharper Image Landscaping, they pressure wash. This is a good time of the year to get pressure washing. Yeah.
It sounds like they do a little bit of everything, Bob.
Well, they do. They clean gutters. That's why I was talking about your roof. You know, hey, don't let your gutter get clogged up. Talk about having a problem. Moisture and all that stuff.
It's just not about cutting the yard, is it?
Oh, no, not at all. Lawn dethatching. I used to wear golf shoes when I was cutting my grass years ago to dethatch my lawn. I wore spikes. That didn't get it done. You got to have a company like Sharper Image Landscaping. Will thinks I'm kidding. I'm very serious, Will. I wore baseball shoes one year. I'm talking about metal spikes. Those were outlawed then, you know. Fertilization, dirt fill, shrubbery planting. Ash just came back in. He said, "Are you still talking about Sharper Image Landscaping?" I'm not even halfway through the list.
The benefit of live spots, right?
That's right, exactly. Live endorsement commercial announcements. That's us. Sprinkler repair. Okay, you got a sprinkler issue? I'm not talking about the one you hook up to the hose. I'm talking about if you have a sprinkler system in your yard,
I
they'll
wish
do the
someone
repair.
would come and put a sprinkler in my yard.
Well, okay, here's how it works. You call Sharper Image Landscaping. What's the phone number?
410-6783.
All right, and the website's very clear.
Sharper Image LLC.
No, Sharper Image.
Sharper Image Landscaping LLC.com.
Sharper
Image Landscaping LLC.com.
It's that Sudafed you're taking.
I always forget the landscaping.
That's okay.
I always have the LLC and forget the
All
landscaping.
right, one other thing, too, and I love to do these two together. Folks who are out working in the yards, working in the lawns, doing the stuff that the Sharper Image Landscaping people do, they need good footwear. They need good boots. Hey, I wore my Red Wing boots. Whoa, where'd you get those? Red Wing.
Yeah.
Now that is I wish we were on television right now.
Actually, they're some of the more comfortable. I wear them because I have some slip-on ones I got from them. To be honest, it's easier than lacing up tennis shoes, and unless I'm running, they're very comfortable.
And that's footwear. That's not a work boot.
No, that's a steel-toe work boot.
Oh, that is what you've got on.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you got casual wear too, that you have. But those just slip on.
Yeah, they're a slip-on. They're very comfortable.
I want to say this. When I come back next time, everything's going to be Velcro. No laces. Everything's going to be Velcro.
Laces out.
Laces out, yeah. But let me tell you, I go out to the bowl game yesterday. It's raining like crazy. I wear my 22-year-old Red Wing boots. Guy comes up to me. He says, "Lock me." I said, "Yeah, how you doing?" We talked for a minute. We were at Demetrius Barbecue before we went to the ball game. And the guy says, "Can I ask you a question? Are those Red Wing boots you were talking about a couple of weeks ago that are 22 years old?" I said, "They sure are." And I can tell you guys, my feet didn't get damp at all yesterday. Not at all. Okay. Two locations, Pelham, Trustville, plus the big box trucks. Yeah.
Is that officially Pelham there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's Pelham.
It's on the Pelham-Hoover line.
It's right across from Hoover City Hall.
Yeah, which was on the Hoover-Pelham line.
Yeah. I know it's – I forget which –
No, that's a great question.
I know the back end of – I guess it is because the back end of River Chase splits on that last road between Hoover and Pelham.
Let me say this. If I'm elected mayor of Hoover in 2 years, 2.5 years, okay, that's not going to be a question anymore. I'm going to get with Mayor Waters if he's reelected, and I think he should be, in Pelham. And we're going to talk about getting the two together, okay? Some kind of unique merger. And then this malarkey about, is that in Pelham, is that in Hoover? That's a good question, though. But the Red Wing shoe store is on the right going south.
Yeah.
In the public shopping center. Yeah. By Sports Clips. Yeah, right there. And, yeah, that's in Pelham.
Is that in Pelham?
Then the two Red Wing trucks, they're everywhere.
See, I always, in my mind, Pelham doesn't start till you cross over the hill.
Or get here.
And you come down 31. But there are parts of it where Pelham, Helena, Hoover all kind of bump up.
And then there's Alabaster where Chubb's Grub is located.
Yeah.
And Chelsea. How's the Chelsea Chubb's Grub's going?
Good. I mean, I've only been there twice, so but
I hadn't been yet.
Seems busy when I go by.
JP,
so.
You been there yet?
No, I stick to rivers and lakes that I'm used to. I stay in Alabaster.
Oh, you stay down south. Now,
Yes.
Will, if Will Kaufman had stayed in town last week, I was going to take him. We were going to flip a coin, Egg and I, or Chubb's Grub out in Chelsea. So this coming week, Will, you going to be in town this week? Be in
I
town?
will.
You will be. All right, so we're going to do that. We might just go to both. Egg and I one day, Chubb's Grub the other day. Okay. Now, Ash, you're working on, and we had Will Cholowinski here last week. This guy's incredible. He's opened his second Chubb's Grub location. He says one day he wants to have 200 so he can feed 1 million people with this canned goods drive program they have.
Well, it's good to have goals.
Now we're going to help it. We're going to get on board, right? You and Pelham are going to be working on a campaign, social media wise, and plus the fact we want people to come by here on Sunday afternoons. That's even better than having people call.
Swing by.
The
door is open. It is always literally
we keep the doors open. Okay, with the doors open. Bring a couple of canned goods, and then Will's going to get us certificates. We got to get with him this week, because starting next Sunday, you bring 2 canned goods here, you're going to get a certificate to take to one of the 2 Chubb's Grubs and get your drink free. And then on the 12th time, you bring 2 canned goods and get your drink free. You get a free meal.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if you can't do it on a Sunday, that offer is open we're here on Sundays when they're not open.
Yeah, that's why we're going to do it.
And every other day of the week, you can go redeem that right there.
That's why I think, JP, we're going to do this, because Chubb's Grub station is not open on Sunday. Now, we're like their extension center, like UAB was way back in the 60s for Alabama. That's transitioned to Alabama. Talking Alabama. Can I raise a question here? Will Kaufman, you weren't born at this time. I'm not sure these 2 guys were. Do you know that Coach Bryant lost 9 straight bowl games in the 60s? Check it out, after 64. Will, did you know that?
I did not.
JP?
I did not know 9 straight at least.
Actually, I kind of do, but that's a slower point, because that brings up the question, how do you win a national championship in these years that you claim?
Yeah. Oh, no, well, now, think about it. No, I'm saying after mid-60s, because they slumped.
Yeah, but they won some championships in the.
Yeah, well, check it out. Why don't one of you guys on your computer?
65.
Someone, my accountant told
64.
me this today. I think he was trying to set me up. But and I said, you're kidding.
Well, if it's not the championship game.
That's right.
Then Alabama typically does not perform well.
That's consolation game. This wasn't a consolation game.
You could say this was a consolation game, too.
How can you say that?
That wasn't the championship game, and they coughed it up again.
Ash.
Maybe it was because Will was in town.
Because Will went to New Orleans. See, if we'd have kept Will here. Will, do you carry the burden of...
Don't put that on me.
No.
So Will, did you at least have fun in New Orleans?
Absolutely.
Bourbon Street?
Absolutely.
You didn't go by Lucky Pierre's, did you?
I probably walked.
No.
What about the Cat's Meow?
Hustler Club?
Will, if someone asks you a question like that, don't hesitate. Just yes or no.
Okay. Well,
no.
I walked across all of the French Quarter, so I pretty much saw all the major sites.
Yeah, right. Did you get any beads? Did you bring any beads home?
I did not.
Okay.
So did you end up at the Cat's Meow?
No.
Good. Now, see there, Will, you did great. Your mom, your grandmother, all these folks who listen in every Sunday, they're proud that you said
the Cat's Meow is just a karaoke bar. It just sounds awful.
Really?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Pat O'Brien's? It's still there.
It's still there. It's more of a tourist trap.
Now I'm going to ask Will another question. Did you get a hurricane at Pat O'Brien's? Did you go?
I did.
Way to go. Man. Now, we're proud of you there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I tried to see all the sites, and I went all around New Orleans, not just the French Quarter. And
right. Where did you watch the game? Where did you watch the game?
I can't remember. I just remember it's apparently the Alabama had. It sounds worse than it is, but I just know it's the Alabama headquarters.
Oh, the Alabama
bar.
headquarters.
I think it's the something nail.
All right, getting you out of trouble.
The rusty nail.
Yeah, that's it.
The rusty nail. Okay. All right, Will.
A little far off. What's nice is I got to take a bike. Like Allstate was giving free bike rides.
Are you serious?
Yes, it was a perfect deal. So we got to ride that.
Did you have to buy a one-day policy to do that or something? Nothing.
So go.
Do you want to know how I know Will had a good time?
Look at him.
It's because he has facial hair now.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
observation.
Yeah. By the way, I got to tell you. And Ash, I'm going to send you the photographs, the before and after. Santa Claus went to Sports Clips at the Grove, and Katrina trimmed this guy up like you're not going to believe it.
Did she?
Oh man, I'm going to send you in just a moment. And can you post these up on the thing, whatever?
Those need to go up on the on
the
Facebook.
before and after. I mean, Santa Claus went to, and we took care of it. And Will's next. Will, you don't have to get all that hair cut off. You just need to get it kind of. They'll straighten it up for you a little bit.
Yeah,
just
well,
trim it up a little bit.
you're
going to still have the Clark Gable. No, who's the current Affleck? What's his name? What's his name?
Then, yeah.
Ben Affleck?
Yeah.
I don't know if I look like him.
Who does he look like? Okay, who do you think you look like, Will?
He's still got some of that Bama bang going.
We're trying to not talk about
I'm not
Alabama
sure.
costing the conference.
I've heard James Franco.
James Franco.
Actually, I will give it to you, Will. That's actually a very fair comparison.
Yeah,
James
that or
Franco.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, if you know. I know.
I would go more James Franco, to be honest. Looking,
You know,
at
isn't it
perfectly
amazing?
fine
We're
with
doing
me.
everything we can to avoid telling the truth. And the truth is, Alabama broke the streak. Alabama, the Southeastern Conference had competed in 8 straight national championship games. And who?
Well, you could argue that Auburn broke the streak.
No,
last
Auburn
year.
didn't break the streak. They showed up.
Yeah, but
it
I-
still
playing
wouldn't
in
have
it,
been
we
the
broke
BCS
the
national.
No.
we broke the winning.
Oh no, you're
streak.
talking about the winning streak. I'm talking about the fact that
Just
for
being
9,
there.
just being there, 8 straight years, the Southeastern Conference has been there, and not
the
this year.
BCS, though.
I mean, I would, unless unless you're the most hardcore Alabama zealot, I think you'd be hard pressed to find an Alabama fan that really felt like this was the year that they were the best team in the country. Every Alabama fan I know that is realistic with their team expectations, admitted that this team
Ash.
had a lot of flaws.
They carry an index card in their pocket that says this is not our year.
Here's the thing. I've gone back and I've said this elsewhere. I expected a 9-3 season out of Alabama before the emergence of Blake Sims. There's so many holes that were on that defense that Auburn actually exposed them quite well. Missouri couldn't take advantage of them. Ohio State exploited them, and Ohio State had a defense. So, when people, this is going to sound harsh, but I really do think, from an outside's perspective looking in, and realize I'm not an Alabama fan, this might have been one of Saban's better years coaching.
I wouldn't disagree.
Because there was so many holes on that defense, and he let things go to Kiffin at the right time, and Kiffin's catching a lot of the grief on this. Here's the thing, is Ohio State was a lot hungrier than Alabama, and Alabama had holes, and they got exposed. I mean, Auburn exposed them. You won't talk to many Alabama people who would tell you they expect to give up 44 points and still win a game against anybody.
We got a lot of people that want to put it on Kiffin and the play calling.
I'm one of them.
But this is historically the worst defense they've probably had in the last 15 years.
Can I add one more person that put it on Kiffin? Right here on this radio station yesterday morning, Roger Schultz on the Breakfast of Champions with Keith Norton. I'm going to quote. He's a what?
He's an easy target. I mean, it's easy to blame the play calling, but, I mean, they let up, more 20-plus yard passing completions this year than they ever had, or
but I'm
had
talking
in
about
the
I'm talking about
60s,
this
and
game.
They did this in this game, did they? Let up several long
here's
passes,
the thing is,
big plays that on defense that just never happened before.
People want to blame Lane Kiffin so well, but I really think Lane Kiffin was the only reason they won the SEC West. I will.
Well, you may
Lane
be right.
Kiffin and Blake
But I'm talking about
Sims,
this game. I'm talking about this game that cost the Southeastern Conference the streak of competing in the national championship.
But you
games.
have to lay the foundation of how we got there and
I
why
don't
did it
care.
happen.
I'm talking about this game.
Jacob Coker for Heisman, man.
Look,
Jacob
I'm telling
Coker
you,
for
I
Heisman.
took heat this year. I was branded as a lunatic racist because I kept saying, very plain and simple that Saban's in a no-win situation, and it's going to come back to haunt them in the end, and it did. It did. I think Blake Sims was part of the problem in the game. And let me quote Roger Schultz.
That dude had ice
Go
water.
back to
solid ice water veins.
Go back to the first play of the game. What did Alabama do? Will, you saw the game. Do you remember what they did on the first play? 8-yard gain on a run. Okay? And here's what Roger Schultz said on the Breakfast of Champions yesterday. Same damn play, same damn results. I'm quoting Roger Schultz now. My preacher may be listening. I hope he understands. Quote, Roger Schultz. Same damn play, same damn results. He said, run it, run it, run it. Why in the world? Somebody tell me why they didn't run the football. Will, you got something?
I don't know. It's interesting because watching the game, especially when you watch Derrick Henry run the ball, it looked a lot like Derrick Henry versus Oklahoma. Now, Alabama wasn't successful in the end on that game, but Henry, he ran the ball hard. I don't understand why you would give him less. I would aim for 20 carries.
No, you're right. Run him. And let me tell you, I appreciate Keith Norton, the host of Breakfast of Champions. He just sent me a quick note. And Marcus Spears, Feinbaum's new sidekick. And Marcus Spears is no sycophant. I'm telling you, this guy's good. And he knocked the daylights out of Kiffin. That's pretty strong. Roger Schultz and Marcus Spears. I mean, who are we to question those guys?
Well, I mean,
I guess
you go back and
we're just talk show guys.
Yeah, you go back and watch. I said that there was a lot of commonality between the Auburn and Alabama game on New Year's, because Auburn shouldn't have been in the game there at the end. They forced some turnovers. Auburn didn't deserve to win that game, and neither did Alabama. But both of them at the end of that game
were there.
Had an opportunity to send for Auburn to send it to another overtime.
Like I'm saying, we shouldn't be ashamed. But I mean, Alabama, I'm hacked off. I mean, I wanted the conference. I don't care whether it was Kentucky or who. Keep the streak going. Now, I want to tell you, Keith Norton, the host of Breakfast of Champions, I think he's one of the best Alabama fans. And it's great to have Keith in the media mix now, okay? Because I've never seen an Alabama guy so objective about all these things, okay? And pointing out, I mean, y'all aren't, I am. I'm pounding. I'm joining Marcus Spears and Roger Schultz. I'm with the guys. Kiffin is the reason Alabama is not going to the college football playoff championship game.
I would say it has more to do with Urban Meyer than it does Lane Kiffin.
Well, and let me say,
I think it's for Alabama's best that they lost in a close game to Ohio State than to make it to the championship and get shelved by Oregon.
Ash, that could be. I got to tell you, I want to ask you a question. Okay, and give that phone number. We got 6 minutes before the top of the hour. I want to ask a question. Coach Saban at the end of the ball game talked about trophies. You don't have to get a trophy to be a winner. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Ash?
I mean, I guess so.
Will?
In ways, yeah.
I totally agree.
That's a little bit of a moral victory, which you don't. One thing that somebody brought up that I had. I mean, I didn't watch much of the game, so I'm not really intelligently speaking on this. But they were saying that Saban, didn't scream, didn't yell, wasn't really fired up, wasn't typically angry as he normally is when games kind of spin out of control.
Why would you think that?
Because he knew.
He knew.
He knew what he had, and this was not. If there was a down year, it was this year.
A down year,
and he still makes the top four. So it's called unrealistic expectations from some people.
Yeah. No. So you think Alabama? Okay, Ash. You think Alabama's back next year?
Back
in the mix. Back in the playoffs.
I think the SEC West is going to be as tough next year as it is this year. Maybe not with Mississippi State,
a division that lost 5 of 7 bowl games.
Yeah, but we could get into the whole matchup thing, and the only one that I really think from the get-go was just terrible was the TCU Ole Miss. I knew that was going to be a blowout, and Ash used the word destroyed.
Yep. I thought that game was going to be a lot more lopsided than it was.
If LSU's fake field goal, they actually give them credit and things go right, we're talking about a 3-4, and if Auburn doesn't choke, a 4-3.
Okay, but let's do this. Thank goodness for Mississippi. I mean, you guys grew up in this state. I mean, how many times have we heard, thank goodness for Mississippi? Those two schools, I mean, that...
Well, instead of being pessimistic, Bob, let's look and say, thank goodness for Arkansas.
Well, that's right. And Texas A&M.
Yeah, Arkansas looked good when in an evenly matched bowl game with someone that was truly their equal record-wise and everything else. They went out and handed it to them.
Okay, guys. We're wrapping up the end of the line for hour number 1. Now, I got to tell you, we have a gentleman coming in the next hour. And 2 things. He wrote one of the best exposés, I don't know if that's the right word or not, great article on Legion Field, the past, the present, and raised some good question about the future. We're going to talk about that with Bob Carlton of AL.com. I still want to say Birmingham News, okay? And also, Bob has the soon-to-be famous pimento cheese. It'll be, I guess, be back this spring. Yeah, we'll see. We'll ask Bob Carlton. But right now, we'll talk about Egg and I. The big 3 locations: River Chase, Vestavia, and the Vestavia Center. Okay. Somebody asked me the other day, said, where in the Vestavia Center? Okay, the Egg and I, they're all in this together with Zoe's. They're right above Zoe's, right across from Panera Bread. Right across from Moe's Southwest Grill, Welcome to Moe's Place, Starbucks, all of that. That's where the Egg and I are located in Vestavia, okay? Now, as we wrap up hour number 1 here at the end of the line, I want to tell you something. The Egg and I is closed. They're closed this afternoon. They close at 2:30 on Saturday and Sunday, 2 o'clock during the week. They open at 6. Listen to me very carefully. Breakfast, brunch, and lunch. And let me tell you, I am hosting a lunch at the Ambucks of Birmingham office Tuesday, okay? And I'm sending a menu to folks tomorrow, and I'm going to say, your choice. A breakfast item, a brunch item, or a lunch item, okay? Now, and so that's how diverse. You ever thought about a restaurant menu being diverse? Is that the right word?
Yeah, it can come back to bite you. I mean, if you have
Diverse.
too many items on there, but they've got just the right pairing.
They do.
So.
Soup. They start serving soup at 7 in the morning. All right, now, Egg and I. Go see them. River Chase, Vestavia, and Highway 280. That's the new location. It's the Arbor location. Across from Subway, right before you Lee Branch on the other side of the road. Okay. Pete's Print. How many talk shows have an official print shop?
I only know of one.
Us. That's us. Pete Petrov. Our Peach van, that SUV, what is that, a Suburban or whatever? It needs a new wrap. I mean, it's looking okay, but it could look better. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree.
You keep talking about wrapping yours, and
we're
still not getting done.
Well, no, we're working on a wrap. My wife's in the middle of this thing. She drives my Hoover Toyota Prius, Auburn Orange Prius occasionally. So she's saying, you and Petrov don't get carried away on wrapping this car.
And just wrap half of it.
Well, so just wrap the half. If she drives, well, she never rides with me.
Oh, well.
So, no, she does occasionally. So I don't know what we're going to do. But anyway, Pete's Print, they wrap vehicles. They do banners, posters, business signs, vehicle graphics, we just said, window graphics. Pete's Print, where's it located? Okay. Hoover. Do you guys know where Chick-fil-A is in Hoover?
Yep.
On Highway 31. You know where Books A Million used to be?
Yep.
Okay. It's in that shopping center.
Hoover Commons?
Hoover Commons, that's right. Got the fried green tomato on the far end.
Wait, Books A Million used to be.
Gone. It's a furniture store there now.
I missed that. I was up there just the other day.
You have been too busy.
Well, I've been to both sides. I've been to Burlington, and I've been
Burlington, yeah.
Burlington's been there, and
Burlington's still there. And
I like to use the word Famous Fred's because it's been there the longest.
Tell you what, I saw Bart Starr Jr. there at Famous Fred's the other day with Coach Bart's grandson. Famous Fred does a great job. Poor old Ash.
Hanging in there.
You've gone from a cough to a sneeze,
It's getting
That's okay. Pete's Print, though. Oh, Ash, your business cards are...
lost in the mail?
They're in the works at Pete's Print. Okay. All right, now, hour number 2. We ready?
We ready?
Are we?
We ready? Yeah, we're ready. We get that mic turned on. I've got that all done. Bob Carlton entering the studio here, the headquarters. Got his California Berkeley
UC
Bob,
Berkeley, baby.
That is a good-looking shirt. Bob Carlton, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine. I got to ask you a question, though, Bob Carlton. Sent you a text Friday morning. Was it Friday? When was the ball game? Was that Thursday night in New Orleans?
Which ball game?
The Sugar Bowl, the college football playoff semifinal game that Alabama didn't get done.
Was the first, so that was
Thursday. So Friday morning, about 6:15, I just casually sent Bob Carlton a text message. And about 2 seconds later, I get a text message back that just walked in from New Orleans. Did you drive back all night?
I rode a bus down there.
Oh, so you slept? Did you get to sleep on the way back?
Absolutely not.
Are you kidding?
It was rough.
Why, Bob, let me ask you a question. Weren't most of those people Alabama fans?
Oh, yeah, some people may have slept, but not me. It's hard to sleep on a bus.
Yeah.
I discovered. I thought it was a good idea when I booked the trip, but probably won't be doing that again. No disrespect at all to the bus line. It's just 5-hour bus line.
So this wasn't like a school
long
bus.
time.
This wasn't like a yellow school bus, but it was still a big bus.
Yeah,
a big bus though.
At least it wasn't the 8-hour drunk train back from New Orleans.
You know, have you ever taken the Amtrak there from here? You have, JP. Isn't that a nice trip?
I went down there for a bachelor party about 7-8 years ago, and the way down it was a lot of fun. But getting up and being at the train station, we went down on a Friday afternoon, caught it at 2 o'clock in Tuscaloosa, and it was about an hour late. New Orleans about 9 o'clock, but getting up at 6 a.m. and catching a train at 7 a.m. on Sunday morning to come home was
when
rough.
Was the bachelor party? Friday night or Saturday night?
Both nights.
Both nights. Why didn't you just stay up Sunday night? Bob,
that seems like the wise thing to do. But
Ash, wouldn't that have been your recommendation?
Yeah, that's a rough 7.
Why don't we?
I mean,
tell you what,
the problem is most people go there. You get Friday night, Saturday night, and then or just Friday night, and then you don't get a Saturday night hotel because you're going to be out first thing Sunday morning. But then you have to find some place to. New Orleans isn't exactly the place you want to be at 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it gets a little,
especially if your team lost.
Gets a little skeezy.
Bob, were you there covering the game, or you went?
No, I just I went as a spectator. My son and I. My son's an engineering student in Alabama, and he and I went down together. Yep.
What year is he?
He's a senior.
Oh, you see?
I mean, well, senior to be. He'll graduate next December.
Well, look right to your right there behind the glass. That's a graduate right there. It happens. So your son.
So he's got a future in broadcasting. Is that what you're telling me?
Oh, so you graduate and Will graduate. Well, your son's in engineering school, right? Okay. Yeah. Will's in broadcasting journalism.
Okay.
So he graduates and gets to spend his Sunday afternoons here with us. Now, that's what graduation will do for you in broadcasting journalism. Okay. Well, not journalism, I mean, Bob, but broadcasting primarily. All right, Bob Carlton. I am blown away by this article. Am I using the right term? This wasn't just an article on Legion Field. Well, expose,
expose wouldn't be the right word either, no, but I mean, more of a, I guess, essay.
Essay, yeah.
What we like to sometimes call in our business a profile, as if you would write a profile of a person, but we wrote a profile of a place and a stadium instead of a person. So let
me ask these three guys, Bob, our juniors here today. Will Kaufman first, the youngest of all. Will, do you recall your first game at Legion Field here in Birmingham?
I do. I want to say it was an Alabama-Florida game, maybe in 1998. But back when Bama would play two or three games in Legion Field. Yeah. And back then, I was a young kid.
Oh, that was an SEC championship game probably. No, that was the
it was
a regular season game. To Atlanta by then.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I
remember that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've been plenty of times, and I've always thought highly of the old gray lady.
Well said. JP?
I'm trying to remember if it was a Hall of Fame Bowl. It was NC State. That was either the first game or it was either when my brother was in the marching band, and Barry used to play Parker down there.
That's right, high school games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Coach Finley was the only over-the-mountain coach who, Bob, would entertain a city school, would swap back and forth at that time. Yeah. So, you remember going.
Yeah,
Ash?
I remember going down there, and also the first SEC championship, because I think that's the coldest game I ever went to.
It was pretty cold, yeah. Bob, were you there for that one?
I was.
Yeah, it was cold.
Yeah.
Wet, too, wasn't it? Wasn't it wet? No, maybe
It was a little.
cold.
The next year it was really wet. 90,
yeah.
93. It rained. I think it was kind of foggy too. I can't remember.
Play on words. It rained on our parade, and then Atlanta stepped in. Ash, you recall your first game?
I think I went to a Hoover football game there, one of the state championships, and then I think I went to the soccer game in the Olympics or something around there. But I've never seen a college football there.
You know, Bob, one thing that came out
Kind of stay away from that part of town. It's a bit skeezy.
You know, Ash, you say that, okay? I was out there yesterday, Bob.
It's gotten better, but it's got a bad reputation.
Well, perception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perception is,
You know, Bob, I saw a lot of the comments, the flow of comments after when your article was posted and all. And you know, I went out to the game yesterday. I didn't get in because I ran out of time. I had a time situation. But it took me way back, too, because your article talked about the park here, the guys, you know, park here, waving in and all that kind of thing. The Tide and Tiger, rode by the Tide and Tiger yesterday. And but the one thing that came out, and it was brought to my attention twice at church today. Like, you read that article about Legion Field? I said, well, yeah, I read it. Didn't you see where I was quoted?
High up in the story, I might add, too.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. But their point was that the soccer game, the Olympic soccer game, drew the greatest crowd in the history of Legion Field.
And there's somewhat, I didn't get into the explanation why, but Walter Garrett told me, and you'll remember this too, the park board used to count everybody that was in the stadium, the concession workers, the teams, the marching bands, anybody that was in the media, and the Olympic committee had something like 2,000 volunteers for that game.
Right.
So that helped increase that number over capacity. I think capacity was 83,000 and some odd, and it was in the high 83,000 the total attendance. So.
Frank Wagner, the director for years and years and years, way back, Walter Garrett, who you quoted in the article, grew up under Frank Wagner and all. But Frank initiated that policy. If they're in this building, they're attending this.
Well, and it kind of makes sense, too.
Yeah.
They're
cheerleaders, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody comes through he had a turnstile. Yeah. Sometimes the ticket stubs didn't equal the turnstile, but that was because people had passes and that kind of thing. Ash, you read the article? Ashley's had a long weekend. Bob.
I read. I skimmed it. You sent it.
You saw it. I did
Yeah.
send it to you. That's right.
I think what the last dimes that'll be poured into that were with the soccer. That was the last money I think that'll really be invested in that stadium.
All right, now I'm going to say this. I totally disagree. I think that it's not over. Now, we're going to come back to Bob here in a second on that.
We'll see. With the death of UAB football,
I think that's got –
nobody's going to justify putting money in there for what is essentially 15 events a year.
Stay tuned. Okay. That'll be another discussion.
They'll move. Yeah. We'll see, but I think the state championships will move.
They're gone.
They'll move to Auburn or Tuscaloosa.
They've already
gone.
They've already gone. They're already in Auburn and Alabama. Been there the last 3 or 4
So,
years.
All right, let's do this. All right, now. All right.
You've got the Alabama A&M
Magic City
Classic's about the only thing that still plays there.
All right, let's Bob. We'll kind of go backwards. What do you think the future of Legion Field is?
I don't think it's in any immediate danger of closing or anything like that, but I do think its days are probably numbered without any kind of permanent tenant, which would be a shame. And I talked to Tom Cosby a little bit in the story because I don't know if you know Tom, but he's been really involved in historic preservation in Birmingham, and he was one of the key guys who was instrumental in the preservation of Rickwood Field. And he's also now the major corporate fundraiser for the Lyric Theater downtown. And he just said you don't have this warm, fuzzy feeling for whatever reason, and he can't put a finger on it either for Legion Field that you do for Rickwood and the Lyric Theater. But also part of the problem is that Legion Field is this monstrosity, and Rickwood Field is a much smaller piece of property venue to restore and preserve. And my story really didn't get into that so much. One of my colleagues wrote a story kind of addressing that, but I don't know why, and it's kind of ironic to me as well, because so much of the history of Birmingham is focused on Legion Field, more so than certainly Rickwood Field. As much as I love Rickwood Field, I mean, how many people in Birmingham have gone to a game at Legion Field versus gone to a game at Rickwood Field? It's 10 times as many.
Well, Bob, Art Clarkson came here in 1980 and brought the minor league baseball team back to Birmingham, brought the franchise from Montgomery up here. And Art wasn't too long at Rickwood when he started talking about doing things around in the neighborhood to help the neighborhood and get it to where, because the perception, Ash, was getting at that point like, I don't know if I want to go to Rickwood, type thing. But Tom Cosby and, I'm drawing a blank on the other guy's name. There's a couple of other folks that were incredible.
Coke Matthews,
yeah. But Art wanted to really take Rickwood Field to the next level, but not do much to the park. He loved the park, but it was the parking, everything else around in the peripheral and all. And Art has a strong feeling. We're going to have Art on the show in a couple of weeks. Strong feeling that what happened in Jacksonville, Florida with the Gator Bowl and the renovations of the Gator Bowl and the renovation of the exteriors of the Gator Bowl should happen here. I'm not going to rule it out. Now, Gene Hallman seems to be all excited and pumped up about the expansion of the Civic Center to a dome stadium. Okay, I'd bet on that happening. Gene's giving to me signals, it seems like. But let's go back. Bob,
I have a question about Rickwood Field.
Yeah.
Rickwood Field, do they play anything in there outside of the Rickwood Classic right now? I mean, that's the only time.
City high school teams play there, and there's some amateur men's, like over 40 league, over 30 league. They play, and so it's used, but certainly the only crowds that come there are from
a lot of
Rickwood
schools take tours there, and they go out and they give historic tours. Matter of fact, my wife, when she was still teaching, I went. And it was a wonderful day. They toured the kids throughout the whole park, had a sack lunch, and then the kids played softball on the park, after being told everything that had happened there. But yeah, it's not something. I mean, the team we have plays downtown at the big park.
Well, one thing, and this is something that Tom Cosby pointed out, that as a lot of things did not get into the story I wrote just because I've had so much
word limit.
You'd still be writing. You could still be
exactly.
writing. Yeah,
and it's pretty hard to condense all that into a readable story. But anyway, one of the things that Tom said was that Rickwood has going for it. It is indeed, the oldest ballpark in the United States, and they can lay claim to that, and rightfully so. And so, that's a selling point that they can hang their hat on and kind of maintain the interest in the ballpark. It's I think 2 years older than Wrigley and 2 years older than Fenway. So it was 1910. So it's 104 years old now, going on 105. Be 105 in August.
Now, Alabama, and Will Kaufman, you were talking about your game in the late 90s where you went. And Alabama, Bob, you pointed out, played his final home game there in 203.
Mike Shula's year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
In fact, in the photo gallery, I think we had a picture of Shula there.
I tell you, that photo gallery. And Bob, what do people that have missed this? I mean, because folks are getting it's holidays and people got this hit the streets Friday morning in the paper.
Right.
Okay. But folks just go to al.com.
Yeah, and you can just go al.com and go to our search engine, on the on-site search engine, and type in Legion Field, type in my name, and it should pop right up.
Bob, in doing this article, and I know when you contacted me and we talked, I could have talked to midnight. I mean, I've had the honor of working with Mr. Fred Sinkton as an example, knowing Frank Wagner years ago, Bob Yarbrough, who had the concessions in the beginning. and so many different things. But what in the work you did on this what surprised you? What was anything that you had not anticipated? David Housel, I thought, was pretty bold.
In what?
Well, his comments about he kind of took an Auburn slant and kind of said, because so many times you've heard.
Wouldn't you expect
well, yeah, absolutely. But David's a Southern gentleman, but
No. I didn't think he was. I mean, I thought he spoke the truth about that.
Oh, yeah. See, David and I grew up with everybody, and you guys have heard this. Ash, I'm not sure you have. I don't want to hear another Alabama fan say, we need to bring the game back to Legion Field when it was a 50-50 split. It was never a 50-50 split.
Ooh.
Never.
Well, I mean, going out there for research when I was writing the story, all these warm feelings do come back, and David talked about that. He said, when he comes to town, he likes to ride out there and walk around, and he remembers, I've forgotten what his first Auburn game there, I think he told me it was a 1958 Mississippi State Auburn game. Another thing I didn't get into, and this surprised me, Mississippi State would sometimes play their home game at Legion Field.
They were way ahead of the curve in doing that.
Because, in Starkville, their stadium was so small, and I guess, I don't know why they didn't play in Jackson, because Alabama and Mississippi State played in Jackson a lot. But anyway,
I think
early on they played the home game some years at Legion Field. But anyway, that was his first memory. And but anyway, you do have a warm feeling, and as Tom Cosby talked about the guy hopping on your hood of your car and waving you to the parking place. I mean, it was kind of that. As I said, it kind of probably felt like what it must have felt like to go to the Bronx and go to Yankee Stadium, or go to Boston and go to the Boston Garden, this kind of rough and tumble neighborhood that, it was
Tom even said rumble, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did use that word. But so all that said, going to the campuses has obviously been great for both programs and for the rivalry as well.
Did you go out yesterday, Bob, to the game?
I did not. I had I wanted to. I thought about it, but I did watch a fair amount of it on TV.
How long does it take to write something like this? You and I talked 10, 12 days ago. You're already working at that.
Yeah. Well, the part of the problem was it was over the holidays and trying to catch people and track them down and also juggle some other responsibilities that you have to do at the paper. It wasn't totally zoned in on that.
You went to New Orleans with your son,
right? It was finished by then.
I want to tell you this. Oh yeah,
it was finished by then.
Yeah, I want to tell you guys. I think that game in '58 was my first game too. My dad and I, we sat in the north end zone when it wasn't the north end zone. Okay, and reading the article, the essay, and then going yesterday, it was extra special. It really was, Bob.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you go ahead.
That was kind of the intention. We have a new, back in the old days, we would call him our, I guess, executive editor, managing editor. I think his title now is managing producer or something. But anyway, David McGee, and he's been with us, I don't know, about 6 months or so. He was on he's been with the company for longer, but he's been with us right in the writing group and the reporting content group for about 6 months or so. But anyway, he's very much wants to do a lot of writing and take time and do kind of comprehensive reporting on stories. And his idea when the Blazers UAB football program was shut down, that the bowl game was coming up, and he said, well, let's do something on Legion Field, because it's not necessarily going to be Legion Field's last hurrah, but it's a good opportunity to write something about Legion Field. And so the whole point was to put it in the paper before the game on Saturday. And
so the Florida folks and the East Carolina folks, I can tell you as a former director of our bowl game years ago, the Hall of Fame Bowl, late 70s, early 80s. I'd give anything to have had this every year, to say to the folks. And I mentioned, and I'm quoted in this article, and Bob, when you asked me, I said, as director of the bowl game, what we had to offer was Legion Field. Well,
I even noticed in the game yesterday, at the beginning of the game, they referred to it as the epicenter of college football.
Mm-hmm. Well, back in the 60s, we had, can you guys believe this? Alabama played LSU one day. It was cold and wet, raining, and it got colder as the afternoon went on. Auburn played Tennessee that night.
Yeah, the double headers.
Think about that. Think about that in this city and the football capital of the South. I do have to admit one thing, though, and it came back to me, Bob, yesterday. When the upper deck was there, and proudly across the front of the upper deck it said, Birmingham, football capital of the South. They misspelled capital.
Well, capital as a city is AL.
Yeah.
Capital as a facility is OL. So
So they had it right either way.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of an issue I had in writing the story, because some people refer to Birmingham as the football capital of the South, and some people refer to Legion Field as the football capital of the South, and I think they are used kind of interchangeably. But certainly, as I said in the story, if Birmingham were the football capital of the South, Legion Field was certainly the foundation for that.
Well, it does basically come down to money, though, right? I mean, the upper deck, fell into disrepair, and you have Alabama and Auburn pouring millions of dollars into their own facilities. Where the bottom line was, as football became more popular and more of a business and less of a sport, where was that money going to go to keep pouring into Legion Field to improve the facilities to world-class levels? And it just wasn't going to come from Birmingham, when the city is, fighting to keep the lights on at times,
Well,
there wasn't $100 million laying around to improve Legion Field for one game a year or so.
Well, Birmingham doesn't need to fit the bill. Start over. Birmingham does not need to foot the bill for the expansion of the Civic Center. The state, the county, the surrounding areas and things. It's a lost leader, in my opinion, like a gallon of milk in a grocery store. Now, Bob, I don't know if and this came up yesterday in a conversation with someone. Your essay is so provocative.
Thank you.
A few years ago, Ash, there was an effort to get the Army-Navy game here. You get that here.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. You get that here once, every 3 years, whatever. That's huge. And so I guess I'm kind of the eternal optimist. And don't want to see it done away with.
I would be surprised if by 2020 it's not just a
shell.
I mean, it is now. I mean, everything important that plays there is not there anymore. It's going to be dusted off 10 times a year. I mean, they've already lost the upper deck. How much longer will the lower deck stand with no more money put into it?
Well, and again, this is another discussion, because time we're this and Amy, your associate, wrote an additional piece about what's ahead, and there's some city leaders, civic leaders saying, and elected officials saying, we're going to be aggressive with this. We're going to look for some things. Ash, I don't know. I think there's Bob. I mean, I go back to you again. If you had to write it right now, you had to look 5 years ahead. You ever done one like that? Written something where you just all right. So, what would you write today?
I have a hard enough time writing for next week. So
I'm telling you, what would you write though? I mean, what do you think? Ash says 5 years from now, it's gone. It's done. You did all this work. You talked to Tom.
Well, I mean, I just don't see it. I don't know. I don't see it continuing to be viable, but by the same token, I can't see it being torn down either. So,
right. If the Civic Center expands and there's an indoor facility, that's going to take 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Right.
So the bowl game's not going anywhere. The bowl game's going to be here. Magic City Classic. Now, I will say this: that Alabama State Stadium in Montgomery, right off 85.
State of the art, yeah.
Yeah, state of the art. If I'm Birmingham, I've got to be anxious about that. Getting that game bid out of here. And I saw one of the comments, so that game's not going there anywhere. It could. It could. And that's a classic. That is a classic. I'd go to just watch the bands. Really.
I would say that if the Magic City Classic left town, that would probably be the final blow. So
death knell.
Yeah.
Well, and they'll keep having that. I mean, but
if it left,
yeah. I mean, it's again like you said, the state championships aren't there anymore. The high school level. I mean, it's really going to be sort of like the Rickwood. You dust it off once a year. You play a game there.
But I heard yesterday too, Bob. And again, Bob. I mean, you got folks thinking. Someone asked at Demetrius Barbecue yesterday morning. Some people were talking about this. They said, "Well, battles of the bands, college bands, high school bands." Bob, I mean, and again, you couldn't write everything. Can you guys believe that years and years and years and years ago, the Southeastern Conference and the metropolitan area high schools had a joint track meet at Legion Field? There was a track. Wait, you do remember? You're a bit of a historian, but I mean, so now we can't have a track meet there now. But
it was a beautiful, even as a smaller facility, I guess in the 40s or whatever, with the track and the north end zone. Was it north? Yeah.
Yeah, the north had like a plateau type.
Yeah.
And
it was
the
a
south
beautiful
was a big horseshoe.
Yeah, beautiful little
I mean, you were almost sitting on Greymount Avenue in that horseshoe. You were way away from you didn't ever get a field goal kicked into your extra point. Never made it there. Well, Bob, looking at this, trying to go back over some of the things, the World Football League.
That's an interesting that you brought that up because you were talking all the different games that were played there. When I was doing I did a story about, I don't know, couple of months ago now about the Banks Woodlawn High School game that was played there, the famous game with Jeff Rutledge for Banks and Tony Nathan for Woodlawn, and they, of course, both went on to play at Alabama and both went on to play in the NFL. And it's the biggest high school game ever in the state of Alabama. But anyway, on that particular weekend, on Thursday night, the Vulcans were playing. I don't remember who they played. Excuse me, the Americans. They would have been the Americans in '74.
Yeah.
And then Banks Woodlawn on Friday night and Alabama LSU on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Wow. So then you could really say it was the football capital of the South.
You may have had 200,000 people there over those 3 nights. 3 games.
Yeah. I mean, the World Football League obviously wasn't the NFL, but it was still, I mean, three nights, 3 pretty big games. So.
Yeah, without question. Without question. Bob Carlton, we could talk, I think, a long time on this with you, and I want to commend you.
Well, I appreciate your help on it, and you gave me a lot of good names to call, and unfortunately, time restraints did not permit me to call all of those people, but I did get some of them, and no, I appreciate your help.
Well, is there going to be a part 2? I mean, they're really the politics around Legion Field, and Ash brings up some of this, I think. The politics around, maybe, Amy's already on this, I think, to a degree.
No, I will say we haven't written a last story about Legion Field, obviously, but
yeah.
But I don't know if there'll be another epic quite like that one. So,
well, you're chronological of the dates and the photos. You had top 12, I think. There was something about the photo gallery was incredible. But there was a top 12.
We did like 12. We called them memorable games instead of biggest games, because some of the games themselves weren't that great, but they had a lot of historical significance, like the 1948, the renewal of the Alabama-Auburn game, which gave birth to what is now known as the Iron Bowl.
Right.
And then the 1970 Alabama-USC game, which was, the game itself was 42-21, but the historical significance of that was great. And, of course, the first SEC championship game, and then you had several great Alabama-Auburn games, Punt Bama Punt, Bow Over the Top,
Van
Tiffin, Bears 315.
Yeah.
And the Banks Woodlawn game that we referred to, and the Americans winning the one and only World Bowl. And I guess
to have our uniforms conference.
And I guess, Birmingham's only professional football championship.
They threatened to turn the lights off before that game.
Well, that's the thing that I did not was not aware of, that the team had walked out that Monday before because they hadn't been paid in several weeks.
Right. Yeah, I was with the team the next year in the front office, and those stories were frightening. I mean, the team played in the championship the following weekend, but on Monday threatened to walk out.
Yeah.
Power company threatened to not turn the lights on for the game. And then they let the lights stay on and we won. Yeah. And had a good crowd out there. One of the biggest games I ever saw was in the Americans. We played Chicago.
Is that the one that had like 60,000?
Yeah. And listen to this, guys. Joe Namath was supposed to sign with the Chicago Wind. $4 million contract. And Fabergé signed Joe Namath to a $4 million contract contingent on him staying in the National Football League. So we didn't get him. He didn't come. But we played a song that night. I say we because I feel like I was still, I mean, it was kind of they played the night Chicago died. And the league got bombarded by the Chicago people, and the team got fined and all that kind of stuff. But a hurricane too. That was the night a hurricane had come in on the Gulf Coast. Guys, you can't believe this. 60-something thousand people at the stadium, and I mean benches were blowing all over the place. I mean it was just pregame was just a mess, and Birmingham won in overtime. And Earl Sark, the kicker, said the tee was underwater. That's when you can use a block to kick from. All right, Bob. One other pressing question. When is the soon-to-be famous Bob Carlton pimento cheese coming back?
That's a good question. Yeah, I need to find some investors to help me with that.
Yeah, it's not. You can't just do this. You can't just whip up a bowl of pimento cheese.
Well, I can, but whipping up a bowl and turning a profit off of it is another deal.
Yeah,
but I have done it at the farmers market for 3 summers. I did not do it this past summer, and I'm kind of weighing whether I want to go back. It's just my work my real job at AL.com and Birmingham News has gotten incredibly rewarding too. I mean, in a rewarding way, it's gotten incredibly time consuming, more so than it used to be. Just because there are so many different elements to our job now that we're doing.
So different now. I mean, it's so dynamic. Is that? But Bob, how long what's your history with the Birmingham News? Take us back quickly.
I started in 1980, August 4th, 1980. So coming up on 35 years. Knock on wood.
Wow. Man, that's terrific.
So I'm almost as old as Legion Field, but not quite.
No, not quite. And you've I think based on Ash, you've got your longevity is more positive, more. Yeah, you may hit 50. You're going to shoot for 50 years there at AL, and you can write about Legion Fields, yay or nay. Yeah, Ash says nay. I say
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I think the upper deck coming down was the start of an inevitable process. I mean, I just don't see people pouring money into it. Because if you're going to spend, let's say, $50 million or something, I don't know what stadiums cost.
You don't have to spend that on the.
Well, I mean,
if you're going to spend that kind of money to revamp it or modernize it, because it is pretty outdated. And
well, I will say this, Ash, and we're going to wrap up because we got Mark Everett and Dr. Burbick coming in and all. Bob, we're about to talk about New Year's resolutions. Everybody getting in shape. Everybody running 6 miles a day and all that kind of thing, except for JP. One of the things that I think has to happen at Legion Field, if you look to the east side of the stadium, goes about 3 blocks. And it's really nice out there. Pavilions, barbecue pits, playgrounds, all kind of things. I think the same thing's got to be done to the west, and then relocate the families that are there, purge the folks that shouldn't even be there, okay, and then go from Graymont all the way to 3rd Avenue, okay, and then put in, and Tampa did this, and it's not nearly as expensive because you've already got the facility. And then you put in parks and playgrounds that you can park on during whatever the games are if you need that space. Okay, so I guess that's where I come. Stay tuned.
Well, and going back to the upper deck, I mean, at the point that the upper deck came down, and it came down because it had some structural issues, and it was going to cost more than it was worth to try to rebuild it or restore it or whatever they needed to do to maintain it. But at that point, Alabama had already moved out, Auburn had already moved out, so they didn't need those extra seats. So, 60. Yeah. Well, it's still a 70,000 seat stadium, which is larger than.
Which is the prototype now.
Right,
you don't
right.
build an 80-something thousand
Right.
unless you're Knoxville or Tuscaloosa.
Right.
Type thing. Bob Carlton, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking time to be here.
Absolutely.
What's next on the Bob Carlton essay?
I don't know. I'll walk in Monday and they'll tell me what to do. So,
Hi, Bob, and we let you go on this, but I mean, we mentioned the dynamics. 35 years, you've seen incredibly drastic changes in how you do this.
Yeah, more so in the last 2 years than the first 32 or 33 years. But last 2 years and 2 or 3 months. But it's been good. I mean, we've, we're still getting to do what we love to do, but we're also having to do, take on more responsibilities. And that's a conversation for another day, but it's still a very rewarding job. So,
Bob, we'll have another day. We appreciate you
coming
in.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Now, Bob, you got to do us a favor. As you go down the hall, Dr. Sloan Burbick and Mark Everett ought to be out there.
Okay.
If you'll just tell them, come on down.
Well, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Bob. Bob Carlton. JP, you going to hang with us a little bit?
I'm actually going to be bailing on you.
Yeah. Got plans?
Yes.
Yeah.
Church.
Okay, quick last thought on yours on Alabama breaking the streak of the Southeastern Conference participating in the championship game.
My thought is, it started last year with Auburn by not winning, and this year Alabama just ended it all for us in the SEC.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was the end of it. Yeah. Well, 2 streaks ended. I'll admit that. One, we didn't win last year, but we were there. Okay. Still had a team in the championship game, and this year we not going to be there.
Probably for the best.
You think so?
I think that would have been run out.
You think Alabama would have been run out?
I think Oregon is hot right now.
All right, let me ask you a question, Ash. As we transition to New Year's resolutions, Dr. Burbick coming in, Dr. Burdick Bo Beard, Dr. Burdick. I'll get that straight, Sloan. Hold on, we're going to get that straight in just a second. Okay.
All right.
The big question I have before we get out of football, what do we expect to see from Oregon uniform-wise for this game?
I imagine it'll have green in it.
Boy, that's
or silver.
What do you call those uniforms the other day?
Unique, because they don't wear them.
Color-wise.
They don't wear them more than once.
But color-wise, what do you, JP?
I'm just smiling because it's Oregon, and I have you never know what they're going to come out in. I'm waiting for them to come out in just a pure hot pink one time. And I think they came out with they played one this year, if I'm not mistaken, with a pink tint to it.
I think it was in October. Yeah, but they haven't. They don't wear them more than once. So
we're done with the pea green.
I think
Is
so.
that what it called?
I'm hoping
they
for
have
actual
shades
feathers.
of them.
You what?
I'm hoping for actual feathers.
Feathers, duck feathers. Well, that's
True feathers.
That's Dr. Sloan Burdick Beard. I got that right. Newly married, newlywed. JP?
Well, one last thought before I get out of here. People don't make resolutions, make goals. Something measurable.
Well,
resolutions are... I wrote a whole blog on this on a separate thing that I do, and here's the thing is I can go back and measure any goal, whether I got there or not, but it's something measurable. You want to lose more weight? Define how much you want to lose. You want to lose 15 pounds? That's great. You want to lose 30? But until you set a number on it, you're not going to get anywhere. If you just want to lose more weight and you lose 1 pound, guess what? You achieved a goal. You achieved something, but what did you really achieve?
Are you Danny Haralson? I mean, we've got Danny Haralson, the co-founder and head coach of Run University. That's exactly what he says.
No, I mean,
He's an anti-resolution guy.
Well, I mean, last year I look at one of the things I said on my agenda. I had a lot of things that happened that changed my year, and I had to reevaluate my goals.
Yeah.
But one of them was to run a marathon. I didn't do that. I ended up running an ultra marathon, but
A what?
beyond a marathon. 31.
We will talk to Dr. Bird Dick Beard about that. Yeah. Bird Dick Beard.
Well, I want to say it was her husband that worked on me after I got done with that race that day, because running 31 miles will take it out of you.
We were probably there.
Yeah,
Which
you were.
one was it?
It was the Oak Mountain, the Kids Challenge.
Certainly.
No. Bo
Just
worked on me.
Oak Mountain 50K.
Ash, do you?
Bo won the 10. Bo came close to winning the 10K earlier that morning. Then he worked on me later.
All right, before you walk. All right, get ready to leave. All right, but listen to this before you do. Ash, this is your partner.
Mm-hmm.
This is JP of JP Predicts.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about having a partner that will run 31 miles?
I've run 26.
Are you? You've had. Well, that's a marathon.
We're in the Chicago in 2010.
Hey, that's how last year we ran 3 half marathons together.
3 in 3 months.
Will Kaufman, you're a runner. You're a marathon guy.
I'm a short distance runner.
Yeah, like from here to the
There's a
Bojangles.
Yeah, if you even call it that.
Up here to Bojangles. And that's,
Exactly.
Yeah, me and you. All right, JP. See if you see Mark Everett out there. He's probably got a Florida hat on. He's a former Florida track man, Olympian. He's got all these medals he's going to wear into.
Y'all have a great afternoon. I'll be listening until I step in.
Please do. And tell us again, no resolutions.
Make goals, not resolutions.
Okay, Danny Haralson, we appreciate you being with us this afternoon. And be listening. Now, Danny's going to bring that after 5.
I can imagine that, because I run into Danny with his run groups. Honestly, I can't say I've gone through them. I did it separately, but most of the people I know that are runners that started later in life or did it at some other point, they went through Run University. There's a handful of programs, but Danny Harrelson's a name everyone knows.
Well, and then also, let me ask you this. Do you like pizza?
Yes.
Okay. Jason Cerniglia will be in. The owner, founder of the Hoover Fitness Center. He wrote a book. Look great, feel great, and
eat pizza.
Yeah. Okay. See you, JP.
Take care, guys.
Dr. Sloan Burdick Beard is joining us here. But first off, I'm going to talk about what I just sent Ash, and I'll send it to you, Will, in just a second. Santa Claus photographs. Post-Christmas Santa Claus photographs, okay? You see it?
I did.
What do you think?
Think he kind of
Cleaned up.
took kind of a couple shortcuts, though. He's still beard.
Oh, he's still got a beard. Yeah, it's just like when you go to Sports Clips at the Grove on February 13th. You're still going to have a. Well, then, no, Ash. The deal is, and the deal's off if this is not the
They're
deal.
going to take the zero guard down to the skin.
No. Here's what we want to do, because we want to see the look.
Okay.
We want, on the 13th, we're going to cover this, sports and stuff, at Sports Clips at the Grove. We're going to get you trimmed up. We're going to get you down to a 1.
No, it's
Yeah,
0.
no, 1. No, they don't do zeros.
Yeah, they take the guard off and run it like that.
You're missing my point. We just want to get a before and after that we can post, and then you can go to, then you can, Katrina or Melissa or
Be the
Brittany,
same thing. They can still do it.
No. They'll finish you after we get the look, okay? All right, that's it. All right, now, Sports Clips at the Grove. That's our official Sports Clips. There are other Sports Clips in town. Okay?
There are.
And all over the country. But Sports and Stuff's Sports Clips, official Sports Clips, is at the Grove, the big Target Center off 150. Okay, that's where our team is. That's where Katrina, the manager, Melissa, Christina, Lauren, Mel B. I haven't met Mel B yet. That's her name, not Melba, Mel B. Mel, and then the letter B. Holly and Brittany.
Where is that? Is that out past the high school?
Yeah, sort of. You go past where you would turn to go to the high school. Okay, you can turn right there and go like you're going up to Target Center at the Grove. Okay, you can go 2 ways. You can go like you're going to the Preserve.
The Grove is. I don't know where the Target is.
Well, I'm telling you right now. You can go. You're on 150.
On your right as you're about to get off on exit 10?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
If coming from.
I don't go to that side of town.
Coming from Atlanta or wherever you're coming. Yeah, coming from the far east. Get to exit 10. Right. Yeah, drop off.
And then hang a right.
Yeah, hang a right and go up the hill. Then turn back right into the big Target shopping center. And then go over by Beef O'Brady's. Okay. And you'll find Sports Clips. Okay. Now, we've been talking about you getting to our Sports Clips at the Grove for just a little trim up. when you get ready, okay? When you're ready, not before. But I've got to do a little reconnaissance for you. I want to find out now of the staff there if any of the younger ladies are single. Okay? A thumbs up. Hey, okay.
Poor Will.
All right. I'm telling you. Now, look, I got to tell you something, guys. It's great to be a guy. It says that. They have a little sign there, Sports Clips at the Grove. It's great to be a guy. Okay? Now, here's the deal. If you go to our official Sports Clips at the Grove, our Sports and Stuff's official Sports Clips at the Grove, Target Center, and you tell them, you go in and say, hey, ladies, I'm here because Sports and Stuff told me to come here. You get, now you pay for your haircut and your beard trim or whatever. But then after that, the MVP, upgrade to MVP. That's a shampoo, hot towel, neck massage. I mean, man, that's on us. That's right. That's on us. So go there, okay? Go to Sports Clips at the Grove. That's the only place. That's the only Sports Clips you get the deal. The Sports and Stuff deal, okay? All right, now in the studio. The Farm has entered the building. Dr. Sloan Burdick Beard. Got it right.
There's no hyphen.
No, oh, really?
It's kind of mixed what it is legally right now. If it's Dr. Sloan Beard or Dr. Sloan Burdick, depends on who you ask.
What does?
We're gonna go Sloan Beard.
Sloan Beard. I like that. That's good traditional. Dr. Sloan Beard.
Yes.
Married to Dr. Bo Beard.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll have to pass on the Sports Clips.
Where is he?
He's
What do you?
at home.
Wait a minute. What do you mean? You'll have to pass on.
No, I'll have to pass that on to him.
Oh, you'll have to pass that on to
so
him.
he can get a good MVP
Whew.
upgrade.
Please, he's got to go to the Grove. Tell Dr. Beard I'd like to meet him there. I met
will.
Santa Claus there the other day. Sure did.
At Sports Clips.
At the Grove. Oh yeah, I got to show you. I'll send this to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you the before photos and after photos.
They do a little trim.
Mark Everett just texted and said he can't find it. Can't find the place.
Probably got the sign off out
Okay.
front.
All right. Now, Will, I'm going to text you.
Just make Will stand out front. Go stand out front and wave your arms, Will.
I'm going to text you, Will. Yeah. Coach Everett's phone number. Okay. And then I want you to call Coach Everett. Okay. And get him here.
If he can find the CVS, he can find it here.
CVS.
Yeah, right across the street. CVS right there. Pee Wee's Pawn, either of those.
Yeah. Or CRM Motors right over there.
Yeah. If you can find either one of those lanes marks.
Yeah. And then you got CRM and Louis Fine Foods right across the street.
Well, what I didn't realize, Bob, about our next guest,
Dr. Burdick.
is that
Beard. Dr. Beard.
is that I actually have an appointment of sorts with them on the 8th
Get out of
of
here.
January.
At the farm? At the farm?
No, they are hosting a clinic at my
Oh, absolutely.
at my gym
Yeah.
What's your gym?
or my box,
Yeah.
CrossFit Chelsea.
Oh,
They're
okay.
actually hosting something there on the 8th that
Yeah.
I have
How about
already planned
Signed
on
up?
going to.
Signed up.
Phenomenal.
How about
Well,
It
We're
wasn't
really
until I
excited
got
about
in
it.
today that I realized that. So.
Well, let's back up. All right. Dr. Sloan Beard,
Yes.
okay, formerly Dr. Sloan Burdick.
Correct.
Okay. Now you married Dr. Bo Beard.
I did.
And you and Dr. Bo Beard are the Farm.
We are.
Now tell us about the Farm.
Well, the FARM stands for Functional Athletic Rehabilitation and Medicine. We're coming up on our year anniversary, which is kind of blows my mind that we've been doing it for a year now. But we are a chiropractic clinic that we focus on the rehab and the treatment of sports injuries as well as performance care.
And Elite Sports Performance Plan. That's one of your big
Yeah.
programs.
So we have a lot of athletes that are not just looking to treat their current injuries, but to make sure that they stay injury-free in the future.
beforehand. Mm-hmm. Like all these people.
All
These people are going. I went to the gym today. I went to the Hoover Fitness Center.
Hey, good.
Yeah, I got on the treadmill.
Good.
Did a little bit of leg extension type stuff, and I'm looking forward to getting up in the morning and seeing if I've worked hard enough.
Yeah, do you have a goal set?
Not yet. I need to. Right.
Yep. Set a goal. Write it down.
Don't just have a resolution to
Correct.
get in better shape.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
You got to set benchmarks for yourself.
like walk 5 miles.
Yeah, absolutely. Set a plan.
He's pretty serious about this stuff. You work pretty hard.
I try.
Yeah.
If you're running marathons, certainly.
Well, I haven't ran a marathon in a while. I ran the Vulcan half last November. Not this. Well, 2 Novembers ago, and I haven't laced up my shoes since then. That long distance running is it's a lot of time. It's not really for me. I don't know. I do it, and then I take a year off, and then I come back and do. I'll probably run a couple this year, and then I get bored of it and take a year off. I have a hard time running between November and March.
Let me ask Dr.
Which is bad because like you fall off the wagon, then you got to start over again every year.
Yeah, but let me ask Dr. Beard this: is that good to not stay consistent? I mean,
no. It's good to kind of cross train, change things up, which is sounds like what he's doing. But if you're doing CrossFit exercises and those workouts, I think you'd be very surprised if you went out and ran and kind of challenged yourself to a distance run. Then
how little falls off.
Well, no, just how quickly you'd be able to bounce back into it.
It's that's what I fell back into that in last June. So I've been doing it about 6 months, and it's interesting. It's not everything I thought it would be. You read a lot of bad things about it and how kind of aggressive it has been, and I have some friends that have tried it at different places and not had the same results or the same experiences that I have. So I think it's a lot of finding a place that you're comfortable with, but it's fun. I don't know. It's
and it gets you moving, it gets you active, gives you goals,
which
certainly sets those benchmarks for you.
Yeah, it's one of the few things I've done in a long time where, I look forward to doing it. It's not something I feel like I have to go and do.
Dread doing, getting through.
Which is really the biggest part to me is, with anything, it's if you don't enjoy doing it or you don't find some kind of release or something from it, it's not going to become part of your.
You'll never keep it up.
Well, let me ask you this about New Year's resolutions. Okay, New Year's resolutions to be on time. Some people say I want to be on time. Okay, now, and that's another deal. We're talking about physical, mental, and spiritual resolutions right now. Okay, and entering the building in just a moment will be a 3-time Olympian. Okay, who had some goals. Dr. Beard, you say set goals, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so people pop off the last week of the year. New Year's resolution. Okay, I'm going to get in shape. Okay, that's not enough, right?
Correct.
You got to set a goal.
Mm-hmm. How are you going to get in shape?
All right, now, Dr. Beard, I still keep saying
it's fine.
Beard.
Can I just start calling you Beard? If you ask me my full name, I'll say Sloan Burdick. Oh, wait a minute, I mean Sloan Beard. Okay. And then I confuse
Dr.
people.
Beard.
So.
Dr. Beard. Okay. A gentleman, Ash, to your left and Dr. Beard's right, has just entered the building. Okay. Now, that is Coach Mark Everett. Okay. 3-time Olympian. Okay. Hall of Fame, Florida Gator. Okay. 2 years on a local radio station. And I don't know if things have changed. Maybe I'm putting him in a bad spot here. But he set a goal. He's 47 years old now. 46, okay. He set a goal to be in his 4th Olympic coming up in 2 years.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, it's an honor to sit in this room with you.
Coach Mark Everett, how are you?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here, Bob.
Man's got some pipes, too, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Ash, you're sitting next to a man that ran in 3 Olympics. Holds records, the lists. I've got this printout. I did all this homework, and I've known this man for 2 years. 2 years. We first met at Alexis in Mountain Brook Village. Our dear friend Greg Alexa, whose sister owns Alexis. We thought Greg was going to cover lunch that day. But we were the only 3 guys there. Dr. Beard, you been there yet?
I haven't.
All right, we're going to take you there.
Absolutely.
Okay, and if Dr. Bo Beard, your better half, other half, you're his better half.
Yeah.
He's your other half.
Yes.
If he goes with us, Mark goes. Ash, if you care, we'll be the only 4 or 5 guys in there out of 150 something people.
I'm sure he'd love that then.
Oh, he's a newlywed. Come on, Dr. Beard. All right, Mark Everett, quick question. Dr. Beard says on all these New Year's resolution stuff, okay, got to set a goal. You still thinking about trying to get to, where is it, Buenos Aires? Where is this thing? The Olympics?
Rio de Janeiro? Oh, wait, no,
yeah,
Brazil.
Rio de
Brazil?
Janeiro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
You thinking about doing this?
Yes. I tell you, it's interesting when you talk to people about goals and things like that. One of the things I always tell people they need to do is you need to set goals that seem like you can't obtain them. You need to put them way out there. But you also got to put some goals that you can achieve. And so, will I make the Olympic team?
Can I take us back how this happened, though?
Yes, you can. Go for it.
We have, Coach Everett has worked with Coach Joey Jones when Joey was at Birmingham Southern, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And also when he was at Mountain Brook. Okay, y'all got to know each other. So one morning, Mark and I we had a Saturday morning radio show we used to do and for a few weeks. And we had Joey Jones on, Coach Jones. And he asked Mark, he said, "Mark, you still running?" Yeah, I'm running. He said, "How long are you going to keep running?" And I think, take it back, didn't you say, "Joey, I'm going to be in the Olympics again"?
Absolutely. Basically, what happened was we were kind of talking about the Olympics because the Americans didn't win the 4x4.
That's right.
It was
That's
a 4x4 we were watching.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
And just the way they carried themselves. And I said, you know what? I said here on the show that I'm going to train for the next Olympics to make the team, to show those guys how you're supposed to win, how you're supposed to carry the flag. And that's where it all took off. And what's exciting about it is whether I make it or not is really not the issue.
Yeah, but you left out the best part.
Which one? What you got?
Coach Jones said,
oh, he started laughing.
He said, "Mark, are we on the air?" And Mark said, "Yeah, Coach, we're on the air." He said, "Mark, you're not just talking to me and Bob. You just told a lot of people what you were going to do."
Absolutely.
But
it's a it's going to be difficult. But again, as I said before, the thing that I'm excited about is the excitement that people have when they get a chance to talk to me and hear, "Hey, I hear you're training for the Olympics," and it's kind of inspired them to want to do more in their lives. And that's one of the things I always want to do with people is talk to them about pushing yourself a little bit past what you think you can do. Because in your mind, sometimes you tell yourself you've pushed yourself, but you always have a little bit extra. And that, as a coach, and that's what coaches are always trying to do out of their athletes, trying to give them to give a little bit more.
all right, now, Dr. Beard and her husband, Dr. Bo Beard, tell us again, the FARM stands for?
Functional Athletic Rehabilitation and Medicine.
All right, hear this again, Mark. Functional?
Athletic Rehabilitation and Medicine.
And medicine. Okay, so you work with a lot of young people, too, and some old guys, and some old ladies, older, more senior people.
That whole title she said, you can tell she's a doctor. Yeah. I mean, just the way she articulated it.
We just like acronyms, so I don't have to say that every day.
So like you've got a clinic coming up with Ash's folks, okay? Now, so it's pre as well as post.
Yeah.
Trying to help people that you get. Mark, do you have many injuries with some of the folks you work with?
No. That's the whole plan of the way I train, to make sure we don't get injuries.
Yeah, same thing.
No, if you get a lot of injuries, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Or I like to say incorrect.
Do you know that Dr. Beard and her husband, Dr. Bo Beard, they travel all over the country, right, to these big marathon things and run over across them mountains in Colorado? You ever done that, Mark?
Yeah, in a truck, of course. Yeah.
Ash,
He's probably a little more sane.
You ever run like some of this?
Not a big trail racing guy.
You've done a marathon.
I have. I'm not a big trail racing guy.
Yeah.
Can you have people call? Because people are texting me wanting to call in.
No.
Okay, so can you let
We're
them know?
above taking calls.
Let them know that.
No.
Put that out there.
Yeah, they can call 605. But we're going to Coach Danny Haralson here just for a second. Then we'll take some. If someone wants to call, yeah,
they just want to know the number.
605-0733. Correct.
605-0733.
Yeah, or they can tell them the social media stuff. What can they do?
Sports and Stuff FM.
Yeah.
Facebook.com Sports and Stuff FM or at Sports and Stuff FM on Twitter.
Yeah, we're way up there now.
We will interact.
All right, now Danny Haralson with us. You guys met Danny Haralson before?
I have not, and I have several people that speak incredibly highly of him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mark, have you met Danny?
Oh, many times.
Yeah. Okay, Danny. Good afternoon.
Hello, Bob. Hello, Mark.
Hey, how you doing, Danny? Great to see you, brother.
Good.
Hear you, brother.
Good.
Not to see you. See you all the time at the track and your wife. So good to talk to you.
Dude. Then I had to throw out some big ups towards Mark. What he says is exactly correct. He's one of the better coaches and trainers out there. He knows exactly what he's doing. Great guy too.
Well, and then
Takes one to know one, though, brother. You know that.
Ditto. Is that the new thing? Ditto.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I can't leave out Farm. I haven't met them either, but from people that I know that have been through them, apparently got this Mutual Admiration Society going here, but they've spoken very highly. I mean, they thought the care and attention, and by that I mean things were explained to them that has been very well received, I guess would be the best way to put it.
Well, thanks for the kind words, Danny.
You know what, Danny, I just thought of. Because I know your mornings are kind of hectic, Danny. Your afternoons are kind of hectic. It's
hectic, yeah.
It's I want to host a lunch at the Egg and I on 280.
Hey, that's out near us.
That's in your neck of the woods, out on 280.
I couldn't possibly be there before noon tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to do this. And Mark, can you join us possibly?
Are you paying for it?
Yes, covered.
I'm in.
Yeah. Yes,
That's important. You know that already.
Well, actually,
he's in training.
Actually, Feinbaum's paying for it.
Well, then that's even better.
They got this new pay raise, so
Unbelievable.
Yeah, no, we're going to do this. We'll get everybody together at the Egg and I out there on 280. Okay, because I would like.
I think it'd be fun. I really do.
Danny, I
need to meet you too.
Yeah, and we'd like to.
Likewise.
And Ash hopefully can join us. And it's tough for Ash. He has a real job.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes. All right, Danny.
When I want to.
We're talking about New Year's resolutions.
Right.
I'm going to ask Ash or Dr. Burdick, if you can recall. She just got married, Danny. I'm having a tough time with this.
I keep saying Jess. It's been a couple months. You'd think I'd get on the ball and get the name changed.
Before, you may have been listening, Danny, but I know you've been busy this afternoon. JP, one of our folks who was here with us earlier, he said he made a comment to me that someone yesterday who runs with my brother Sam, who runs with your Run University group, said, Danny Haralson, I told her you were going to be on the show. We're talking about New Year's resolutions. And she said, Danny Haralson has a different take on New Year's resolutions. Is that right? Goal setting?
I do, yeah. I don't look at it as resolutions because I look at a resolution as final. You know, when you resolve something, you resolve as final. I look at it as goal setting and baby steps. To where there's an acronym for it that I have called SMART. I tell people it's Get Smart, SMART. Specific, measurable, actionable, reachable, and then timely. So if you go out there and you say, yeah, man, I got to lose some weight. Okay, that's not specific. That's not measurable. That's nothing. But if you sit there and you say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds, okay, but now I'm going to break it down. I'm going to make it in 5-pound increments. And how am I going to? All right, that's a specific goal. Now, is it measurable? Yes, the 5-pound increments are measurable. Is it actionable? Yes. How are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, and I'm going to run 4 times a week. Now, I'm just kind of making this up. And then, is it reachable? Yes, of course you can do that in 5-pound increments. And then, is it timely? Can you do this in a timely fashion? Yeah, I'm going to save $10,000. Okay, that's specific. It's measurable, but is it reachable and is it timely? So I just call it Get Smart from breaking it down. There's an old Asian proverb that if you step over enough pebbles, you'll find you soon climbed the mountain. And that's how I tell people to attack their New Year's goal. Hey, I'm going to be 40. My bucket list is to run a half marathon. Wouldn't a 5K be a good idea first?
All right. Now, Danny, you know Mark Everett well.
I do know Mark.
Okay. A couple of years ago, we were just talking about this. Mark and I were on a talk show one Saturday morning, and Coach Joey Jones was on. And we got to talking. And Mark proclaimed that on his bucket list, I guess you could say, but his goal was to get back to the Olympics in 2 years, Rio de Janeiro. He's 46 years old. Mark, come back to that. I mean, Danny says, is it reachable?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, because it's there in my mind, and that's what he's talking about.
Exactly.
You got to have it inside your mind. And I think a lot of people, what happens with a lot of people, they don't believe in themselves. So first of all, you got to believe in yourself. That's the first thing you got to do. You got to wake up every morning and tell yourself that you're a champion. You are somebody. You are a champion. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve. Now, everybody has, you have the doctor here and Danny on the line and myself here, but we all have different ways to getting to the same place, you know. And one of the things I always tell people is this: there are 3 characteristics or things you need to do to be successful. First and foremost, you have to have talent. And whatever it is you decide you want to do, you have to have talent. Secondly, you have to have work ethic. You got to put the time in to be good at whatever craft you choose. But the third one that's very, very important is to be able to perform when it's time. So through talent, through putting in the effort, and to be able to perform when it's time, that will put you on a track to achieve a lot of the goals or whatever you want to call it, whatever term you come up with. But going to your job, you know, sometimes you have people who historically are always late. Well, put a goal, this time I'm going to be early. You know, I'm going to be early this time. You know, leave a little bit early, give yourself a little bit more time. And just little, like I said, baby steps. Just take baby steps. So sometimes the little baby steps will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's a whole way of thinking, a whole another way of changing. So, you know, I don't really do the resolutions at the end of the beginning of the year. That's just, I mean, because I kind of live it every day. So when you live it every day, it's a whole different mindset. And those athletes and different people that we admire, they have certain skill sets and certain goals and things that they think about all the time when you wake up in the morning, you know, telling yourself. So it's very important to believe in yourself.
Ash, do you made any resolutions?
I have made a couple.
resolution. Yeah,
I have a couple, but they're sort of more actionable goals.
Yeah,
I've got 3-month goals and 6-month goals. So I've got.
Oh, that's kind of like
I've got resolutions up through the middle of the year, and then I'll reevaluate. And
well, this is kind of like what Danny Haralson saying. Do it right, Danny. Do it
exactly right.
Yeah, step by step.
And Mark's saying the same thing too. Yeah, Ash is spot on. He's sitting there going like, you know, the whole world could change in 6 months, and if he's achieved those goals maybe in 3, he's ahead of his game plan. So redefine the game plan. And Mark's right. If you wake up, he said, I don't know if I can do this or not, then you can't. You know, whether Henry Ford said, if you think you can or if you think you can't, you're right. So if you don't want to wake up and say, I'm a champion, then wake up and say, I'm a work in progress.
Well, Danny, let me ask you this, Danny. You got a great program, Couch to K.
Awesome.
Correct.
That is awesome.
And my wife and I joined your program last year, and I really struggled, okay? But you were always encouraging, come on, one more step by step type thing. And some of us walked. Okay.
Sure. Covered the distance stuff.
Covered the distance. I didn't think I'd ever get there, but I covered the distance. Okay. But I know my wife's coming back to your program this spring. Okay.
Great.
Couch to K.
Wonderfully. She was wonderful.
She loved it. Met a lot of nice people too. But so tell us about the Couch to K program that because I would think resolution wise, and again I'm overusing the word.
Right. Because you know, Couch to 5K, in this case, the training program I have right now, working towards the 5K, which is the region's superhero 5K, February 21st, follows right down the Get Smart, this SMART. We have a specific, measurable, actionable, reachable, timely goal of running a 5K. You get out there, and week 1, and this is an oversimplification, you run and you walk, literally 1 mile. You run and you walk 1 mile. Then week 2, you run and walk a little further. Week 3, you walk a little less but run a little more. And then week 4, you pretty much morph into all running, but you're still not running that far. And then you build up to the 5K in increments. So the program works so that your body can adapt. Mark is sitting here talking about reaching the Olympics again because he believes he can. Well, he's not going to sit out there and put up the world record time for the 800 and go for it first day out. You know, he's going to work towards that. So you build gently, gradually. Your body gets stronger. It adapts. Your heart and your lungs learn to work together. You strengthen the soft tissue so that, you know, so that you don't just jump. You know, it's called the terrible twos when you do too much, too soon, too fast. And that's the number one cause of injuries in what I do. So the Couch to 5K just works very gradually, taking you from the couch, allowing you to build gradually. You don't walk into a gym day 1 and pick up the 50-pound dumbbell. You pick up the 5-pound. Oh, that's easy. Or the 10. Same thing. Baby steps. It goes back to stepping over enough pebbles, and you'll find you soon climb the mountain.
Well, one of the things about the Couch to whichever increment you decide to go to program, I've always thought, is that you do have a lot of people that, you know, this time of year go, oh, I can run a mile. I can run 2 miles. And they go out, lace up those things, and they go run 2 miles. And sure, maybe they run it. And then they wake up the next day and they're, you know, beat the heck,
Can't
and
walk.
and then they don't run again for a long
They go
time.
see Dr.
And we'll
Beard.
see them.
They go see. They
And
go,
so, I mean, that's one of the things
go.
about that program. I've done it in different increments at different times. I followed the one of your similar plans for ramping up to a full marathon, through the Homewood Track Shack, and so it's like, it is very, because you look at it and you go, okay, well, I'm going to run a 5K, and you look at it and go, oh, it's like 10 weeks, and you're like, oh, that is a long time to get up to 3 miles, but you get up to it in a distance and in a time frame that you don't incur the additional risk of hurting yourself, or you look at training for a longer marathon or a half marathon. Sometimes those training programs are 20 weeks. And It's like you got to start training for an October marathon in March. And you think about it and you're like, that's so long. But if you don't, you're just adding so much to it that you'll either burn yourself out or hurt yourself, and you'll never reach your goal. So,
Danny,
and once you get hurt, it's game over.
Yeah.
You're on the sidelines until the
It
end.
sidelines you from reaching your goals, that's for sure.
and that's where Dr. Beard,
Yeah.
you guys come
Well,
in.
we treat, sports injuries or the injuries that do sideline you, but something cool that I think that we do is, we look at the body like a kinematic chain. And with a chain, we all know you're only strong as your weakest link. So we find those weakest links, or we find those inefficiencies, and we give you ways to solve those or fix those, and they could be very, very simple before they break down. So during your training, you're working on those little inefficiencies so that you get 20 weeks into it and you can finish the marathon.
Danny, let's do this. We're going to get you back. We've got Jason Cerniglia and Jeremy Hunter coming in just a moment to join Mark and Dr. Beard, myself, and Ash here with the Hoover Fitness Center and their ministry, their great ministry, Strength Through Faith, okay? But, Danny, we want to stay in touch with you. I think what you guys are sharing right now is so important to so many people that get these cockeyed ideas of this resolution stuff. You got to be careful.
Sure, take your time, enjoy it. And you know what? Next thing you got to do is make it fun. Because if it's not fun, I don't care how old you are, you're not going to stay with it. You're not going to stay with it. So find the fun in it. Find the joy. Like Mark talks about doing, he trains his athletes running faster. If there's a freedom in running faster, that's awesome. It's like with Farm and Ash and all them. Once somebody walks out there and they say, hey, you're done. Go run. It's like, they found the joy in it because they're getting to return to something they love. But just, you take it easy and enjoy it, and you reach the goal, you gain in some confidence. It's fun. The great panel that you have, self-excluded, but you got some wonderful folks on here that are incredibly, incredibly smart and well thought of.
Danny Haralson, thank you. And best of your better half, Mickey, you tell her we said hello. And
I will do that.
We will see you soon with Run University. And how do folks get in touch with you, Danny?
The easiest way is just they can go to the website. I have a Facebook page, Run University. They can go to the website, www.rununiversity.com. It's just like Auburn University or Sanford University. Or they can email me at rununiversity@gmail.com. So very simple. Just Run University. If you look up Run University out there in the web, I'll come up.
Danny, thank you very much.
Sure. Thanks, guys. Y'all take care. Nice talking with you, Mark.
Likewise.
Pleasure.
Take care, brother.
Bye, guys.
All right, and Dr. Beard, we're going to put that get together real soon.
Absolutely.
Another thing I wanted to say that I think is very important is when you come up with something that you want to do, you want to also put together an accountability part, and that's why a lot of people want to get a coach or a trainer. So you want to tell it to someone and have them hold you accountable to kind of what you said you're going to do.
Like Joey Jones did with you, Coach Jones.
Absolutely. So having a partner with you to help you is huge.
Well,
and it's hard doing it by yourself. So you got to have someone help you.
Sports and stuff is going to be your next partner.
I look forward to it.
You put it out there. The more people that you tell, the more you have accountable to it. So.
We'd love to track with you, Mark, and watch this. Now, we're going to bring in, you guys sit tight. We're bringing in, and we're going to share some microphones, okay? Dr. Beard, you're coming over here with me, okay? I'm going to let you share this mic with me over here. And coming in is Jason Cerniglia. Got it right. That's right. That's right. And Jason, you and Jeremy share that mic, okay? All right. Now, where'd Dr. Beard go? Oh, here she comes. Here she comes. Okay. Now, and Jason Cerniglia and Jeremy Hunter, okay, with Hoover Fitness and Strength Through Faith. To your right is Coach Mark Everett. If you were listening out in the lobby, I hope some. Mm-hmm. Okay. And Jeremy, you guys get right close to that mic, kind of push each other in and out when you speak, okay? Ash Quakenbush over here on the right, far right. Y'all have not met Ash in the past. He's not contagious. He's just got a hay fever attack.
I do. It's all allergies, I promise.
Yeah, cleaned out a basement and discovered some things. And Dr. Sloan Beard right here.
It's great to meet you too.
With the farm. Now you tell them what the farm is.
Okay. Functional Athletic Rehabilitation and Medicine. Is that the last time I have to say it?
No.
That's why it's the farm. It's so much easier.
The next half hour, we'll get that brought back. Okay. Now, what a collection. Ash, we have put together a stellar panel, wouldn't you say?
What's topical for that time of year?
Yeah, all these resolutions. Okay, we just had Danny Haralson on, Run University. Okay, Mark Everett, 3-time Olympian, University of Florida Hall of Fame. Mark coached over at Birmingham Southern. You have your own one-on-one training. Tell us more, a little bit more about that.
Basically, it's just a program where I'll do an evaluation with you, find out what you're doing incorrectly, and come up with a plan to help you achieve the goals that you want to achieve. If you want to get in contact with him, you can contact Coach Mark Everett at gmail.com.
That's simple.
So
and that's EVERETT. No E at the end.
Nope. Coach Mark Everett at gmail.com.
And Jason, to your immediate right, this is a 46-year-old gentleman who says he's going to Rio de Janeiro in 2 years to run again.
I can believe it.
Yeah, to run again.
4th Olympics.
4th time. 4th time's a charm.
I made the 88 Olympic team.
Yeah.
Made the 92, missed 96, and came back in 2000.
Oh, so you've already come back once. Oh, okay. So this
3 different
stage is
decades.
set. Yeah. All right, now, Jason. Danny Haralson with us just a moment ago. Run University. Has a program. SMART. Do any of you remember all the acronym there? But it's talking simple, measurable, attainable,
realistic,
timely.
Okay. Mark, you have any coined a phrase with your program? I saw something once. I thought you told me.
A few things. One, while you're resting, someone's training to kick your butt.
Oh, okay.
And the other one is, if it's to be, it is up to me. If it is to be, it is up to me. Each one of those letters, each one of those words are 2 letters. And if it is to be, it is up to me.
And Dr. Beard and her husband, Dr. Bo Beard, have the farm, okay? Functional Athletic Rehabilitation Medicine.
Ooh, you're good.
And Mark to your left, Ash to your left, is the Fat Blast. Right?
That's right.
That is incredible. Tell us about at the Hoover Fitness Center, Jason, the Fat Blast.
We have the it's our flagship program. It's called the 21-Day Fat Blast, and Bob is a graduate of it as well as many others.
A lousy graduate. I mean, I was your worst, I'm telling you.
No, you did good.
But I'm coming back.
You did good, and you've said that a few times.
Yeah.
You got to write that down.
And he will say that a few more times.
Yeah.
But we do. It's 21 days of exercise and group training, which is called our Fat Blast training. We do it at Hoover Fitness, and we do it at several other locations throughout Birmingham.
Yeah, let me hats off. I was over at the center of this at the Hoover Fitness Center midday today. You've taken a program to the Exceptional Center in
Actually,
Homewood.
they come to us.
Oh, they come to us in Hoover.
That's right.
Well, that's got to be incredible.
Yeah,
the Exceptional Foundation. But it is. You're out there with companies. I mean,
yes, we have our. We launched in 2013 January. We launched our on-site program where we go to different businesses, churches, schools, anywhere where there's a gathering of people, country clubs, and we facilitate our programs there. So
the Fat Blast.
The Fat Blast. That's right.
Yeah, 21 days.
21 days.
All right, now, Dr. Beard and her husband, Dr. Bo Beard, they handle preventative and post-injury. Okay, what's the best thing that can be done, Jason, coming into the Hoover Fitness Center? These people making these resolutions. This is the whole theme of the afternoon. People that make these, I'll say, cockeyed resolutions. Okay, at the Hoover Fitness Center, coming into the Fat Blast, what does a person have to do to protect themselves?
Just show up, join the program. We everything they do is monitored by our trainers, our Fat Blast trainers. So our injury rate is extremely low. We seldom, if ever, see any injuries. I would put it up against any program anywhere as far as.
Well, one thing that I experienced was it was like Danny Haralson said, step by step.
It is step by step, and everything is user friendly. That's kind of our term. We do a lot of exercises. You'll see that can be done with a big bar or a squat rack or whatever. We do them with body weight or with dumbbells, or we just do we do the same exercises that you could do in a much more dangerous fashion. We just do them in a user friendly fashion.
Okay. Have you ever met Dr. Beard and
I have not.
the farm, the folks? We're going to host a luncheon at the Egg and I.
Okay.
Out at 280 probably. Jeremy, I hope you can make it. And let's introduce Jeremy now. What I want to do, though, Jason, is get all you guys together.
Okay.
And talk more. I mean, this is just the beginning. We want to do more of this type talk because this resolution stuff is just the immediate kind of stuff. Okay. All right, Jeremy Hunter. What? That's all right, Jeremy. No, you step right there to the mic now. We can yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Jeremy, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Now, you partner with Jason with the ministry part of Hoover Fitness, right? Called Strength Through
Faith. That's right.
So how's that going?
It's going well. It's going well. We've spent the last half of the year building relationships, getting our social media off the ground, and we're ready to hit the ground running in 2015. So it's going well.
So folks like Danny Haralson's Run University, Coach Mark Everett's team. What do your folks who train with you, Mark? What are they, students? I mean, what do you call them? Is there a term? Athletes, of course.
I've coined that phrase, Bob, just so you know. So I receive royalties for that term.
Exactly. Don't humor this guy. Will's back there chuckling. Dr. Beard. No, that's good, Mark. Athletes. Okay, Dr. Beard. Okay. It seems to me like that there's such a fraternity and sorority of folks who commit themselves. Ash is a very committed individual to work out, right?
I guess so. I show up.
They show up. Jason, is that one of the? That's first and foremost, right?
Yep.
Show up, right? Will, do you do anything? Do you work out much? Will, do you? What?
I do occasionally. I'm trying to
get into it.
Hopefully, join a hockey league pretty soon.
Really?
I recently started
out here in Pelham.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Now, see, he just graduated from college. He hasn't had time. Well, he has had time, but he just had to put more.
Everybody has time.
Everybody has time. Yeah. You know, Jason, I tell you what, Mark, you'd appreciate this. My wife and I have been married 44 years. Okay, 45 years ago, I told myself, I set a goal. I said, by the wedding, I'm going to be in the best shape I've ever been in. That's Pelham's finest. We're here.
Like we said, the door is always open.
The door is always open here at the Peach with us. All right, but I told myself, my wife lived out of town, my fiance at that time. And I told myself, you know what? There's no excuse. Work out before the day starts or work out after the day ends. And that was the most successful I've ever been. So, Mark, you work out folks early in the morning.
Absolutely.
How early do you see folks at the farm?
8 a.m. We see our first patient 8 a.m.
8 a.m. All right, now back
but we're not training them.
No,
they train before they come to see us most of the time, and we train before we see patients.
And you all right, so it's preventative or post type thing. Okay. Back to the strength through faith. Okay. We're talking about the physical. We're talking about the mental. Okay. And the spiritual. Okay. Now, you see the athletes, thank you, Mark, that come to the Hoover Fitness Center. That's your core. But have you expanded out beyond? I mean, that's your core of members, right? For the strength through.
Well, it is. We generate a lot of. We do a lot of goods drives and a lot of different things we do in the Hoover Fitness world. The Fat Blast world in particular is a good database support group for our mission. But really, we've networked through our small groups. Really more outward than Hoover Fitness, more into our Christian relationships is where we've kind of focused this, really the latter half of this past year, networking and building relationships with like-minded believers.
And Jeremy, what's current project? You have one coming off the drawing board, one you just finished?
We actually have one we're launching here today.
Good.
In studio.
Do it.
So this is spawned from Jason's brain, so I'm going to let him talk about the campaign, and then we're all going to
and you guys can raise that microphone up. there you go. And then you can stand. That'll be better, yeah.
Well, yeah, just a quick synopsis for you guys if you're not familiar with Strength Through Faith. We are a Christian service organization. Our mission is to spread the gospel, doing God's good work. And one of the things we do is we do different service projects. We, as believers, help people in need, but we also recruit non-believers to help us, people with just a good philanthropist heart, and hopefully we can witness to them as we're also witnessing to the people we're helping. That's kind of our central theme. But we do things from service projects to goods drives to work for other charities, where we're kind of like a charity broker in some ways. But we're launching 2015. Our first campaign of the year is what we call the $1 to Change the World campaign. And our plan, since we talked to you, Bob, was to start it with you here, but actually we brought 4 of them to start the campaign, and there happens to be 4 people in here. So what this campaign is called $1 to Change the World, and basically what it is you're going to get an envelope. You 4 here are going to get an envelope with this letter in it and $1. And when you get the envelope, in the $1, it tells you what to do. There's instructions on there, but basically it's a pay it forward kind of thing. You take the envelope and you put $1 in it and you hand it to someone else, and then they do the same thing. When you're the 100th person to get the envelope, you've got $100 in the envelope. You take it to wherever God tells you, whatever God puts on your heart to do with it. You donate it. You give it to a charity. You help a friend.
Take it to the Foundry. Take it to Brother Brian.
Anywhere you want. It's totally up to you. You can give it to a neighbor in need, and then when you do that, your instructions are to make a copy of it. And when you're the 100th one, and you donate, and you start a new chain from there. So it should be spread to all ends of the earth and never stop. Once from these 4 people sitting here tonight. And that's kind of the plan with that. And when you do it, the instructions will tell you if you get the 100th one. You go to our Facebook page, or you email what you did with it to us with pictures, as much as you want to give, and we'll post the progress as we go.
Well, Dr. Beard and I participate in a networking group. Mark, I'd love for you to drop by there too. Gilchrist Drugstore in Mountain Brook Village every Tuesday morning, 8:00. I'm gonna pass to you that you can take your envelope first.
Okay.
To the coffee club there.
There are so many people there that will want to participate.
Yeah, I think both of us can.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll split up the group. So this starts out, and the $1's in the envelope. You guys are.
They put it in, then we add it in.
Okay.
So it should be an easy thing for anyone who comes across it, because really all you have to do is donate $1 and pass it on.
$1.
Yeah, everyone can spare $1, but then it's an easy way to generate a $100 donation to something.
This is wonderful.
Yeah, isn't it? I mean, this is all right. This is this is an extra, or this goes in my envelope.
That goes in your envelope.
Okay. Now, I wanted this conglomeration today for a couple of reasons. Okay, and this is all right. Danny Haralson earlier. Okay, Mark Everett, Dr. Beard, Jason, Jeremy. There seems to be this camaraderie that I have sensed at the Hoover Fitness Center. This camaraderie that I sensed when my wife and I got in Danny's Run University Couch to K program. Okay. And Jeremy, is that where? But Jason, you saying that you're outside the circle, but was that not the catalyst? I think the first time we talked about this, was it the members of the Hoover Fitness Center, or how did?
No, they're just one of the many databases that support what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a runner, and I'm part of a group, Resolute Running, and a lot of our Facebook followers are Hoover Fitness members. They're Resolute Running members. And like Jason said, that's a great place to start. But our really core network has been in our small groups, have been in other avenues outside of that as well. But that is a huge part of our base of followers is Hoover Fitness and Resolute Running.
Jason, look to your right. Again, I mentioned Mark Everett, 46 years old, and that goal is there, to reach the Olympics for the 4th time. Okay. But in the Fat Blast, when I came in, and you start out early. I mean, 6:15, I think.
5:45.
5:45, yeah, that's right. And there was a hodgepodge of people, I mean, from all walks of life. what do you do? What do you think is the most inspiring thing you do to that group that I was there with, and the folks who were in the other groups? What's the most important thing? Like Mark, and like Dr. Beard, trying to help somebody get over an injury, get encouraged. What's the most important thing?
I think these guys will probably agree is the accountability. That's the success of it. Is it gives someone, they don't have to think. They know they've got a good program. They're told what to do, but in a friendly way. And it's just knowing that when they show up with other like-minded people doing the same thing, there's the group accountability, there's the accountability to the program you've committed to, and I think the other part of the equation is our program. People, obviously if they didn't like it, they wouldn't keep coming. We've had some people doing it for 3 years straight 3.5 years since we started it. So it's part of it's that, but the biggest part is it's not the end all be all. There's a lot of great programs out there. It's the fact that you're in one and you're sticking with it, and you're accountable by means outside of your own discipline, which mostly is you've paid for it or you like the group you're working with.
But Mark, let me ask you. How many folks are in your group that are trying to get to the Olympics in 2 years? How do you deal with that? You're alone.
Yeah, but I think that everybody has an inner athlete inside of them. And I think every person should wake up telling themselves they're trying to go to Olympics and whatever it is they're doing. Be the best you can be.
I have a friend in Toronto, and he may be tuned in right now. He listens live on the 97.7thepeach.com, okay? And he's working on a speakers bureau and a book, which I'm going to come to your book in just a second. His book and Speakers Bureau is You're Never Too Old to Go Pro at whatever. Okay? So although you don't have 6 other people that are with you who are shooting to get to the Olympics, how many folks do you have in the Fat Blast groups?
Well, it varies. We've got about 200 going overall, 200 to 250.
But in the group I was in.
But like in the morning class, there's anywhere from 20 to 25 in that 545 class. That's one of our busier classes. But I think, like Coach said, that everybody is striving for their Olympics. And basically this is what we do. And you asked what is the success of it or whatever. I think it is this. Everyone has a ceiling. They have a potential. We're going to get you to it. We've had an amputee to our program. We've had 85-year-olds. We've had 13-year-olds and everything in between. But whoever you are, whatever your limitation you have, whatever, if you're the most able-bodied Olympic athlete there is, and anyone in between, we're going to get you to your ceiling. No one walks in there maxed out with their performance. We're going to get you to whatever your next level is. And that's kind of what his version of saying everybody has an Olympic athlete in them. That's what we like to think, that there's something else everyone can do. They can do more than they're already doing or do it better.
All right, let me ask Dr. Beard this, okay? Accountability, and I think any of us who've been involved at all in any kind of effort, accountability is key. How do you deal with the athlete? How do you and Dr. Beard deal at the farm? How do you deal with the athlete that's been injured? Okay, we had a young lady on. We do some work now with the National Center for Sports Safety, Dr. Lee Mack's group. Okay, and we had a young lady on. Do you recall her name, Ash? Trying to think back.
Oh, you put me on the spot.
Well, she was a gymnast. And she fell from a pyramid. Okay, and she's done. Okay, but she's out speaking now about sports safety. How do you deal, though, Dr. Beard, with the person who's injured? Because I understand, we all understand, I think, the accountability of showing up, being part of it. How do you and Dr. Beard deal with that?
Well, whenever we see someone, they never leave without verbalizing what their goal is. And then if it's too broad of a goal, like maybe they're not going to reach that within the next week or 2 weeks of our treatment time or our treatment period, we have to downsize that and say, what are your baby steps? Like, where are you going next week? Where are you going in 2 weeks? And our biggest thing is we really try our best not to pull you from your sport. So if you're a runner and you're battling, say, IT band, we don't take you out of running. There are circumstances where that has to happen, or we take, say, a soccer player off the field briefly, but we really try to keep you doing your activities. So that deals a lot with, that aids in kind of the mental breakdown of an injury or losing kind of the fire in your belly to keep going.
Mark, how do you encourage and inspire one of your athletes who has suffered an injury? What steps do you take?
Well, first of all, you have to identify there's something obviously wrong, and you want to make sure they get with the right people to get that injury back. But one of the problems that people do sometimes when they go through injuries is not following the prescription of the trainer or whoever they're working with. So it's almost like taking medication. You know, you have 30 pills to take or whatever you're taking, and you take 15 because you feel better, and you don't take the other 15. So just make sure you continue that rehab and continue doing those things to make sure you don't have that reoccurrence of an injury. And that's huge. I mean, you can probably talk about that, Doctor.
So a lot of the New Year's resolutioners right now, we're talking extreme things. So someone that's taken the last year completely off and they're pretty sedentary and they're sitting on the couch. They've decided, I'm going to run a marathon in March. Well, they get up and they just go. Might be a little extreme.
And that says it all about these resolutions. Now, Jeremy, you run.
Yes.
How long have you been running?
Probably 5 years.
So, I mean, your goals and objectives, what type of running are you doing now?
Training for halves and full marathons, so quite a bit of running during the week.
So you've had injury issues?
Oh, yeah, I have terrible IT band issues.
What?
I'll come see you at the farm.
All right, Dr. Beard, what do you have?
I have an IT band problem frequently. So
Dr. Beard, explain that.
Kills my knees.
IT band?
Yes.
Yeah, do you have lateral knee pain?
Yes.
Oh. So IT band can be confused whether with knee pain or hip pain, but a lot of people just treat that one local area of pain, but a lot of times IT band syndrome is caused by the higher in the chain. You know, earlier I was talking about kinetic chain. Find the breakdown. Breakdown's usually up at the hips. So like a therapist would give you rehab exercises. Kind of like what Coach was saying is you don't want to just take those and do those rehab exercises or take, quote unquote, your prescription until you feel good. You need to follow that through. If you don't follow it through, you're going to break down eventually, say during your half marathon or whatnot.
Yeah, I definitely need to foam roll more and stretch more.
Mobility is awesome and foam rolling is awesome, but foam rolling, say that IT band or the place down by your knee that's hurting, isn't going to give you the stability around the pelvis that you need.
Man.
Okay, I'm definitely coming to see you.
Well, the thing is that's interesting about what everyone is saying is, more importantly, find someone who knows what they're doing to help you. So just what the doctor was talking about, you know, jumping out there and wanting to do a marathon, you haven't done any kind of training, you're not really versed in that area. You want to find someone that can help you, you know, be it with the farm or with you guys, what you're doing, or with Danny and things like that. You want to make sure you find someone that can help you achieve your goals. You know, find out what goals you have. Because one of the first things I do when I talk to an athlete is, first thing I'll ask is, what is it that you want to do? Because if their goal is just to make the team, then that's a certain kind of training I'm going to do with them. But if they tell me their goal is, I want to be in the Olympics, that's a whole different type of training. You know, so you kind of got to know what your goals are, what it is that you're trying to achieve, and then come up with a plan and have someone come up with that plan. But the best thing ever is to be able to go out and go train and let the person you're working with do all the work. Means let them think about how you need to train. You just come out and do it, and that's kind of what you guys are talking about, what you're doing with your program. Just come out, and we'll figure out a way to help you get to whatever it is you're trying to do and get to the ceiling that you guys were talking about.
Mark, we were in a situation once where someone came up to Coach Everett and said, I'd like to learn how to run again. He wasn't talking about running. He wanted to learn how to run, 100-yard dash. He wanted to learn how to really run again. Jason, I'll put myself out there. One of the toughest things I went through in the Fat Blast was a side straddle hop. Don't laugh, Mark. Side straddle hop.
Is a Snicker okay?
Yeah, sure is. And that was tough. I mean, at my age, I'm the oldest guy here, right? Okay. But you find yourself going, I got to get past this. That was not easy. I mean, I felt, by the time I left that morning, I felt like I couldn't even get in the car and go home. I mean, you have a lot of folks that have, you helped me through that.
We adjust to the person, you know, so not everyone can jump. Not everyone has a certain lateral movement. Not everyone can squat as deep as someone else. You know, some people's jumping jacks are sidestepping with their hands going up at the same time. Some people are jumping jacks holding weights in their hands, and so everything's adapted to the person. And so our biggest thing is we're able to see what your limitations are, but work you to whatever your max is, your ceiling, whatever that may be based on your limitations. Like she said, people will come in saying, the first thing they ask is what are you limited by? What can you do? And that's what we say. We want to know that whatever your limitations are, chances are if you come in with a hurt knee, you haven't done everything possible that you could do to where you can say your knee is holding you back. Everyone will reach a point at some point where whatever handicap they have will affect them, but no one's there yet. I mean, no one's, in my experience, no one's ever walked through the door and said, I've done everything I could possibly do. Or even let's take it to the diet side, and someone said, I've got the most perfect diet in the world. What can I do? No one has a perfect diet. And if you did, then you are the most unlucky person in the world because you can't fix it if it's perfect.
Okay, let's take the word diet. You know where I'm going, Jason. Okay. Jeremy, your partner has a great book. Was that your first book? This first book? Okay. Feel great, or look great first. Feel great, and eat pizza.
Still eat pizza.
Mark and I are going to dinner tonight. Okay, and so you eat pretty healthy. You eat well. Okay, tell us about this concept. This look great, feel great, eat pizza.
Well, that's kind of the other reason people like our program is we're not too strict on diet. Ours is here. My whole philosophy is do good on your diet, not great. When you try to do great, you fail. So if you're going to fail, you might as well succeed at doing okay versus failing at trying to do great. And that's kind of the premise of the book. Work real hard, but also reward yourself. If you can't ever have pizza or whatever it is your vice is in food, then what's it worth? And that's kind of our central theme. And we do operate under the theme that you can outrun a bad diet. It's just really hard to do it, but you got to run really fast and really hard. But you can outwork your diet. If you're not, then we make adjustments on the diet side. But we come in with the premise of it's easier to succeed at exercise than it is at diet. Most people are failing at both. So let's tackle one and succeed at it. Let's do great on the exercise side and good on the diet versus trying to do – most people don't even think about exercise. They just go on a diet, and then they quit the diet. Then they're not exercising or dieting. So then that's a recipe for failure in my book.
Now, Dr. Beard, where do diets fit in with the farm?
Huge. I think nutrition and what you take in your body is the number one way you can impact your health. So if you're battling something or battling an ache or pain, what you're eating is directly relating to that. So a lot of what we focus on is not just therapeutic and what can I do for you and what you can do for yourself at home as far as like foam rolling or any sort of mobility drill, but it's also what you're eating, intaking. There's a lot of kind of anti-inflammatory foods you can take that help with chronic pain or long-lasting pain. Diet to me is huge. I think it's well over 50%.
Mark? Coach Everett?
Basically what I tell people about diet, if you give me 2 to 3 weeks of what you eat, then I can help you with your diet. But to try to tell you what you should, like for me, I don't eat pork. So someone telling me you should eat 2 pieces of bacon a day, I don't eat pork at all. So you don't know my diet. So you need to find out what the person's digesting first and then come up with a nutritional plan to help them. So you got to work around the parameters in which the people are, you're eating.
Ash, how do you deal with diet-wise with your aggressive workouts?
Baby steps.
Yeah.
Just try to do better. Try to make better decisions at the opportunities presented to me. I've gone sort of like what you said, go great, and had dialed in macros and percentages and headed all that. And then after about 3 months, it's like, you're waist deep in Pizza Hut buffet, But I think it's, a lot of it's what you eat. If you really want to look like the cover of a magazine, it's going to be more what you eat than what you do. But you got to, all things in moderation. If you're starving yourself all the time, you'll go crazy. And that's, the diet infers a very short-term the word diet, infers, I'm going to do this for 3 months or 6 months. And it's I'm going to eat this way so that I can not eat this way in the future at some point. I always try to think of it more of, what can I change so that it's not a diet? It's just the way I eat.
Yeah, let me ask Jason. My book, Look Great, Feel Great. Have I got those in order? Look, which comes first?
Look Great.
Yeah, Look Great, Feel Great, Eat Pizza. You had, the way you gave me a message in the book. It was about long term, if I'm not mistaken. What did you recall what you inscribed? It was something that encouraged me not to be in a moment, but this to create a lifestyle.
It's probably along the lines of what he's saying about the progression. That's what make changes. You don't go on a diet, you're changing your diet constantly, or you're always improving on it. Everything is relative to you, to where you are, to what you're doing. So if you have a horrible diet, that's a great place to start, because then you can go from horrible to bad and you're going to get results, and you still have a bad diet. But eventually, if you want to get results from there, you go from bad to good, and that's kind of the progression. It's baby steps. It's all these things. Basically, anything you can do to keep people from, and this is going to happen a ton this month because with resolutions, is to keep people from going from horrible to great, to try to go, you know what, I'm going to go on this whatever diet that's a month long of this. And they're miserable. They're not even going to make it a week, much less a month. Well, then what happens at the end of the month? Like he's saying, a diet has a term to it, a limit to it. Really, it's making changes that you can sustain, because if you go on a certain dated diet that's 30 days or whatever, at the end of 30 days, you either got to stay on it to keep results, or you got to learn how to eat how you're supposed to eat at some point. So it's more of a progressive system.
All right, let me do some business here just for a second. Will, what we're going to do, we're going to wrap up here. Okay, go around the horn. We're going to finish in here talking about Strength Through Faith, your project you're launching here, okay? And also, we're going to wrap up, and I'd like for you to hear this if you haven't heard this, okay? ESPN, Stuart Scott passed away this morning, 49 years old, okay? And we have an audio clip. We're going to play that as we close out the show today, okay? And I want to encourage anyone who's listening in right now, if you didn't hear it at the beginning of the show, stay with us. You need to hear this. Strong message, okay? Ladies first, okay? Dr. Beard, okay? Let's go around the room, and then we're going to come back to you, Jeremy, about the Strength Through Faith project that's just being launched, the $1, okay? Your best advice, Dr. Beard, summing up everything we've said, best advice to some of these folks who are listening who've made this resolution, okay, and they're getting off the couch and going to try to accomplish something. What do you advise?
Identify them. What is that resolution, or what is that goal? And give yourself a timeline. Hold yourself accountable. Find a group. Find some accountability partners, voice them, use them for encouragement, and figure it out. Is it something aesthetic or is it something physical? Put a timeline on it, and then set up a team that'll help you, whether that's a healthcare practitioner, a trainer, nutritionist, group. Set up a team to get you there.
Coach Everett.
Probably have to piggyback on what the doctor said. Exactly the same thing. Find someone that can help you. Find a accountability partner, and re-look at those goals that you wrote down. I think you talk about a lot of important things, but write it down on a refrigerator. Write it somewhere where you're going to look at and see it. I kind of tell people every morning, look at that goal or whatever you set for yourself, and look at it every day. And see it and believe it, and kind of just put it inside your mind, and all the time. Every day people would always talk about, when are you an athlete? Well, I'm an athlete all the time. I'm always thinking about how I can better myself as a person, as an athlete, and things like that. So you always want to work at your craft or whatever it is you're doing to be a better person in what you're doing every day.
Jason?
My advice would be, go off of the progression that we've been talking about. Everybody is really motivated this time of year, but a lot of times that motivation is your worst enemy, and it causes you to go all in. This year, use that motivation to make this the year, maybe. Look at a long-term plan. Look at making some changes this month, not all the changes. if your goal is to run a marathon, you wouldn't wake up tomorrow morning if you've never run and go try to run 26 miles. You've got to do progression. So treat your exercise and your diet the same way. Just try to make a change a week or a change a day, depending on whatever you can sustain, but make it to where you don't put all the changes at once.
So no 2 bowls of Bluebell ice cream tonight, just one.
Just one. If you're already, that's the good news. If you have 2 bowls normally, you can have one every night this week, and you've cut your consumption in half.
Okay.
It's really, really good progress.
All right, now, Dr. Beard, help me with this. Danny Haralson, Run University, with us, our other 4th member of our panel today. All right. Can you recall again what's SMART?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Simple.
Measurable.
Actionable.
Realistic and timely.
Okay, let's do that again. All right. Simple.
Measurable.
Yeah.
Actionable.
Yeah.
Realistic and timely.
And timing. Okay, timing. Okay, let's do this.
Somebody said it before. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Coach Everett. Yeah, you said that, didn't you? Say that?
I think that's Thomas Edison
or
Ford
or
something like that.
But
I mean,
it's right.
Something I
think Danny said it earlier.
Yeah, that's right. And you pass it on.
But it's whatever goal you set out to accomplish this year, you're going to hit it.
At the Fat Blast, this man, Jason Cerniglia, is the coach and the motivator, the inspirer, the overseer, okay, and your friend. Okay, Mark, I can only imagine you with your athletes, okay, and Dr. Beard. I've been there. I've been out to the farm. I see you guys. I see you in action, okay, and Danny. I've been there with Danny. Our family has, okay. Now, thank you, each of you. Physical fitness, physical, mental, and spiritual fitness folks, okay? Now, Jeremy, we are so proud that you announced here, but take us back, start it over again. Strength Through Faith. You guys tell us again, repeat for us what Strength Through Faith is and what you've just announced.
Well, yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Strength Through Faith is a Christian service organization, and so in the spirit of New Year's resolutions, we've been talking about people wanting to get more fit, whether it's through their diet or exercise, but another good resolution would be to give more, or just on the spiritual side to do more. And that's what Strength Through Faith is we want to do more in 2015. So the Dollar to Save the World campaign, again, is we're just going to pass these envelopes off. It's got a letter in it. It gives specific instructions to just add $1 when you get it and pass it on. Once you get to $100, make sure you count it when you get the envelope, because if you have an envelope with $100, you give it to whatever organization you feel that would be useful. And go to our site. We've got an Instagram page at strength_through_faith. And use the hashtag STF Isaiah 41:10. Go to our Facebook page and search out Strength Through Faith, or you can go to our website at strengththroughfaith.net.
$1 to change the world. Yeah, almost like the penny theory.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then pass it along.
We're anxious to see all kinds of pictures. We hopefully are going to get a picture, since we're kicking it off here with all of us passing these things off, and we'll post to our Instagram page and throw on Facebook and on the website.
We will get Will, after we finish up here, Will, to take that photograph. You guys hang for a second. All right, now, Will, I think timing-wise, I think this times out just about right. Let me finish up. Again, Bob Lockamy along with Ash Quakenbush, Will, our man in the controls, and we have had a great day. This is the day we wanted to have to kick off the year. Okay, we talked about Alabama. We talked about Auburn. Okay, we talked about Legion Field. But I think the most important thing we did, we talked about people. Because there are a lot of people right now who psychologically, this is that moment when they're trying to accomplish something. Okay, and what we heard today was from each of you, they better be careful. Go about it in the right way. Okay. Thank you all for being with us. Now, let's all, Will, if we're ready, we will listen back to this newsworthy from this morning. Thank you.
On this moment on the show, and turn the clock back to 1996, when I was a 26-year-old Sports Center anchor from New York City. A Jewish kid from New York City walking onto the set and being teamed up with a guy who I'd seen on television but had never met before. A proud African-American Chicagoan by way of North Carolina due to his school, Bleeding Carolina Blue. And the two of us became married on television, essentially. He referred to himself as my TV wife. And I cannot believe that I'm now sitting here on television reporting to you the news that I heard about 10 minutes ago. And that Stuart Scott has died. One of the most joyful, full of life individuals I have ever come across. Lived his life the way his parents wanted him to live it, the way he felt he should live it. He broadcast the same way, a groundbreaking broadcaster in the world of sports television. I love this man. I still love this man. And the fact that he has passed away is absolutely mind-boggling and a travesty. He battled cancer as bravely as anybody else. And I know there are many people out there who are battling cancer right now and Stuart would want you to know to keep fighting. Keep fighting, and that he didn't lose this battle of cancer. He fought it as bravely as he possibly could. And as you go to bed tonight, flip your pillow over to the cool side. And before you go to sleep, as Stuart would say, you hit your knees tonight and pray to the big man for his beautiful daughters who he loved, Taylor and Sydney. Pray for Stuart and his family, his parents, his siblings, his girlfriend, his ex-wife, everybody who he loved. And that includes you, the sports fans, even those who hated on him. He thrived on it. That's because he is who he is and was, I can't believe it's the past tense, who he was. Stuart Scott is dead at the age of 49. I love you, Stuart. Wherever you are, Godspeed. Rest in peace.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant. I'm not ashamed to say, I hope it always will stay this way. My hat is off, won't you stand up and take a bow? And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, well, you would see the biggest gift would be for me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend. 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 If it's a car you like, I'd surely buy you a Cadillac. Whatever you need, any time of the day and night. I'm not ashamed to say, I hope it always will stay this way. My hat is off, won't you stand up and take a bow? And when we both get older, with walking canes and hair of gray, have no fear, even though it's hard to hear. I will stand real close and say, thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being